The following is a presentation of the BellyUpSports Media Network.
The ball sends it over to Edward. Robles, goal! InsertName FC! Let's go, InsertName FC! What is up, everybody? My name is Hector Flores, host of the InsertName FC podcast, a member of BellyUpSports Media Network. You can also find us on Spotify, Pandora, Apple. Is Pandora still a thing? Maybe. But, anywhere you can get your podcasting from. Of course, you can find us on YouTube. Please subscribe. If you guys are checking us out on YouTube, please give us a like and a subscription to the YouTube channel. We're trying to get that growing, just so we have another way you guys can watch this episode. And of course, if you're talking about watching, well, we do have this amazing partnership with GolzTV. It is essentially Hulu, but with just soccer content. So you can also catch us there on GolzTV. Another great thing. But joining me as always is my best friend and the other host of the show, Edward Robles.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
I'm going to try to put a very brave face today. It is top of the sixth, and the Astros are losing 8-2 to the Texas Rangers in Game 7 of the American League Championship Series. So it's not looking good. And probably the Texas Rangers are going on to the World Series. The first time that they're going to the World Series since 2011 when they lost. So it wasn't a great year for the Astros. I'm just going to go ahead and point that out. It wasn't the best year.
Are they playing in Arlington or are they playing here in Houston?
This is the weirdest ALCS. It's actually kind of like the 2019 World Series where the home team did not win a game. So all the wins that the Astros have gotten have been actually in Arlington, and all the Rangers wins have actually happened here in Houston. So it's and obviously Astros have home field advantage, so they had the 4 games.
Right.
So Game 7, yeah. All in all, good series, man. I will say, as someone that enjoys a good rivalry, obviously, in order for it to be a rivalry, there's got to be a back and forth.
Right.
Edward can tell you that. Me and Edward are part of one of the biggest rivalries in the world in Barcelona, Real Madrid. Actually, fun fact, it's like El Clasico weekend. So yeah, one of the biggest rivalries in the sport. And obviously, it's not like Barcelona's going to win every game, and it's not like Real Madrid's going to win every game. That's hence why it's a rivalry. And like the Astros and Rangers, like everyone's been trying to say, is this a rivalry? And to be fair, for a long time, the Astros and Rangers have been in different leagues. So they've only played each other very few times. And so then when the Astros moved to the American League, which they now play in the same division with the Rangers, it was one of those things where when the Astros first came to the American League, they weren't good, and the Rangers were actually one of the top teams in baseball. And then come 2017, the shift happened. The Astros were now better than them, and obviously went on their very epic run of 7 straight playoff appearances, 7 straight American League Championship Series or better streaks, which is on actually the longest active streak right now in the American League. So look, I'm not here to tell you guys that I was expecting the Astros to make it to the World Series again. I thought it was very impressive that they went back to the World Series last year and won it. So I wasn't expecting them to do it. This has been a very overwhelming year as an Astros fan. But hey, despite the struggle, they were still able to make it back to the ALCS, which, if you guys, for a soccer reference, the semifinal. So to play 162 games and to make it to the semifinal, finish in the Final Four, I still think that's pretty impressive by all means. Unless the Astros miraculously shit out 7 runs and win this game, I don't see this anything changing. So maybe we'll give you guys an update at the end of the episode. But so far, I think it's congratulations to the Texas Rangers for making their return to the World Series since 2011.
Don't give up. You said top of the seventh?
No, it's top of the sixth, and as I say that, they hit a home run. So now it's 10-2.
Oh, gee. Wait, you said it was 8-2, and how the hell did they 10-2?
They just hit a two-run home run. So, yeah.
What is going? Who's pitching? Who's pitching for Astros?
So Christian Javier pitched like shit today, and yeah, it's been a rough game. And of course, the Astros once again can't hit at home. So,
geez, you would think like it'd be the opposite way where they can't hit.
Yeah, it's been a rough year. It's been a rough year. I'm really, like I said, I'm more so impressed that despite the struggles for the Astros, they were able to come out with another American League West Division title and make it to the American League Championship Series or the semifinal. So that's just, once again, despite their circumstances, they were able to still do that. This whole playoff so far, the Astros have only won one home game, and that was against the Twins. So, and obviously, you guys don't want to hear us talk about baseball. So, like I said, it really does look like congratulations to the Texas Rangers for making it to the World Series. At least I'm going to say that right now. And obviously, once we get to the end of the episode, maybe something changes. I don't think so. Maybe something changes. But we do have a big episode. We're gonna give you guys some overreactions. Obviously another week of soccer. Club soccer was back. Obviously, international break was over. The MLS Club play last week. We talked about Decision Day. Decision Day was amazing. A lot of great action that was going on there. So, obviously, to avoid just me talking about the MLS Cup playoffs, I have recruited Jose Tellez of GolzTV to come in and talk MLS. We're also going to talk some other things about MLS, but specifically we're going to be talking about the wild card, which by the time this episode drops, the wild card games have already happened, and we'll talk about the new playoff structure, blah, 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 and all that good stuff. Okay. But yeah, and so talk about MLS with Jose Tellez. Obviously, I just mentioned the international break passed. U.S. men's national team, another international break. So me and Edward, we're going to recap that international break, share our thoughts. Are we gloomy? Are we optimistic? That's what we're going to go ahead and tell you in that one. And then announce our players of the week, give you guys some matches to look forward to this coming weekend. There are some big matches. Two big rivalries are happening this weekend. So we're definitely going to let you know about that. And we're going to wrap this show up with something a little different. I decided to go into the depths of Reddit. And so I'm going to do a little reading for this episode just to try something different. If we like it, we might keep doing it, keep that in our rotation of closing segments. Or who knows, man. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, well, to follow
I just got a text.
What?
I got a text message from a old colleague of mine from the Rock when I used to work at the Rockets, and it was my man Hector. You're the only baseball guy I know. Tell me what's going on with us, man. I think my response should be, we suck. We suck at home this year.
Honestly, bro, like
yeah.
that's really something. Like it's crazy how you would think, oh, Minute Maid, Astros got it going on. They're gonna be good and they're winning there. Nope,
I'm saying a lot of shit about the Astros. Yeah, no, keep going.
No, I was gonna say Altuve pulled out that miracle over there.
I'm gonna say this right now. This is I don't think it's a hot take, but I know there's gonna be some people that disagree with me, especially people that don't rate baseball. But I'm going to say this. Jose Altuve is the greatest athlete in Houston sports history. I think he has surpassed the legendary 34s, which obviously, if everybody knows, if you're from Houston, the number 34 is very iconic amongst Houston sports fans because of Earl Campbell from the Houston Oilers, Nolan Ryan, Astros legend, also, but retired as a Ranger. So that kind of sucks. And then of course to me before Altuve, the true Houston icon, which is 2-time NBA champion Hakeem Olajuwon for the Rockets, who also wore the 34 and also played for U of H. So he's got the whole legacy thing going for him. But obviously, I will tell you right now, I believe Jose Altuve has surpassed Hakeem Olajuwon because
I think I was going to say,
it was part of a freaking dynasty, man. Like the Astros are a dynasty. Yeah. So 7 years, we're talking about since 2017. I know the cheating scandal. Since 2017, bro, the Astros have made it to the semifinal, just to use the soccer lingo here, the semifinal or better, which means they made it to the final, they won the final, or they literally, those were the three things that they were able to do in the past 7 years was either make it to the semifinal, get in the final, or win the final. For 7 straight years, that is freaking difficult. That is hard. That's like, there's not even teams in the Champions League that can do that. And you're talking about like everyone's got money.
We're talking about Man City, yeah.
Yeah, man. So I like honestly, I understand everyone that hates the Astros for what they did in 2017, but I think it's clear, man, for what the fact that they're doing this for 7 years now, that I think maybe it's time to move on from 2017. I know I say this, and I know people aren't going to do it. We're always going to be known as the good for nothing cheaters, blah blah blah. But hey, they did get a legitimate ring, at least one legitimate ring to all the haters' eyes. But in my eyes, the Astros got 2 rings, especially because that tainted ring, I happen to own it. So
you were part of that crew.
Yeah, I was there. I was literally there. But yeah. So that's why I told Kevin. I was like, we're just terrible on the road. But like, also, I know we want to.
No, we're terrible at home. Not on the road.
I have no idea, man. Terrible at home and great on the road. And I mean, baseball statistics are always going to be there. There has never been a team that has been terrible at home to make it to the World Series. And I mean, the Astros were terrible this season at home. Yeah, it was a rough season for the Astros, but once again, applaud them for making it this far. I know that sounds like loser talk. But also, as much as we're going to give a lot of shit to the Astros, because literally this was a horrendous performance, to play in a game, to do this in a Game 7. But I mean, you got to give it to the Rangers, man. The Rangers have been, I've been Edward can tell you I'm a baseball nerd, and
he's a baseball nerd.
The Rangers I don't know why I keep saying are so good this year, man. I was keeping an eye on the Rangers, man, because what they were able to do in the offseason, which was getting Jacob deGrom, who to me is their best starting pitcher, he is out for the season. So they're doing what they're doing right now despite losing their best pitcher. And they made it to definitely going to make it to the World Series. And they're also doing this despite having the worst bullpen one of the worst bullpens in the league. And so like they can't, like, that bullpen can't close games out. But the reason why the Rangers have been able to win is because they put up a lot of runs. Like, these guys can hit. Like, that whole batting lineup.
It's like they're all ringers. There's not one that just like, oh, I'm gonna just go ahead and hit a small one. No, it's like
especially the Adolis Garcia, bro, man. When I saw this guy when he got first called up with the Rangers, this dude was a St. Louis Cardinals reject. The Cardinals, like, he was in their farm system. The Cardinals were like, this dude's trash, get rid of him. And the Rangers were like, hey man, come over. So they brought him in. They actually let him go because I guess they didn't think he was good enough. But then they noticed that he was still available. It's like, fuck it, come back. Once he finally got called up with the Rangers, the dude has been freaking phenomenal. Could be a hit or miss kind of guy, but when he's smashing, bro. I know a lot of Astros fans are like mad at him for showboating, which, look, man, he hit a freaking skyrocket of a home run. Shoot, I don't blame him for pimping the hell out of that. I would be doing the same thing too. But also, this is his first ALCS. And everyone's like, act like you've been. Dude, how do you tell someone act like you've been there when they literally have never been there?
Yeah, right.
That to me was a dumb. That's like if I scored a hat trick, do you not expect me to take my shirt off and scare everybody? Like, I hate those people. I hate those people, man. Act like you've been there. They literally don't know. It's like last year when everybody was giving shit to Arsenal for dancing and celebrating wins. I was like, act like you literally all those guys have not been there.
Yeah.
So I mean,
It's like, or I was about to bring a good example. I was like, or like Dibu Martinez, you know?
oh man, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, dude's never been in the World Cup, and he ended up winning it. So of course he was going to go ahead and hump the glove, the Golden Glove.
I need a, if we ever end up getting like our own studio where we have like our own office, that should be just like on one of our walls. It's just a portrait of Emi Martinez.
It's going to be on your wall. I know for a fact it's going to be on your wall.
I mean, I love Emi Martinez. So
Dibu.
that should be like that Dexter's Laboratory meme, the one when he's like at the locker of Albert Einstein, but it's like me looking at a picture of Emi Martinez.
Oh man.
But anyways, obviously once again, congratulations to the Texas Rangers for making it to the World Series. Good luck against whoever they're playing against. The Phillies look nasty. The Arizona Diamondbacks look nasty. I have some investment right now in the Diamondbacks. Not that I bet, but I started getting into card collecting, and I got a signed Corbin Carroll rookie card. He's looking to be the NL Rookie of the Year. I think he's actually like going to be like 6 in the MVP race for the National League as well. He's not going to win the MVP, but if he can get the Diamondbacks to the World Series and he can get the Diamondbacks to win the World Series, I literally just have a card that's worth almost $1,000. So why wouldn't I want that? But yeah,
you know what they say, money talks, man.
Money talks. But okay, where was I going with this? So the closing segments, man. So we're gonna do a little something new. We're gonna do like a reading from the depths of Reddit, and just to try it out. If we like it, we'll keep it going. If we don't like it, then obviously we'll never speak of it. We'll never speak of it again. But yeah, man. So, anything else to say? Astros are still. It's now the top of the 7th, so game's almost over. So we'll keep you guys posted. I'm sure you really care about who wins this game at this point. I'm sure there's a lot of investment now. But we'll go ahead and take a break, and then we'll get going with our overreactions. Hey guys, this is Hector from the InsertName FC podcast, here to tell you guys about Canada Dips. It is a great tasting, superior alternative to traditional dip using CBD in a way that is radical, enjoyable, and effective. It comes in 5 core flavors: wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, and American spice. Canada Dip CBD is the new evolution in dip, allowing guys to enjoy great, long-lasting taste without the downsides. If you guys want to go ahead and try them out, use the code BellyUp20 at CanadaDipCBD.com. Once again, BellyUp20 at CanadaDipCBD.com, and you'll get yourself 20% off your purchase. Thank you again for Canada Dips for being a great partner of BellyUpSports. And we're back. All right, overreactions. Edward, do you have an overreaction from this past weekend?
What did I do this weekend? I worked.
I mean, it has to be about football, but
I don't know. I was like,
if you want, I can go first until you figure out what you want.
Go first.
All right. I am going to say that decision day was all and everything that I think probably was one of the best decision days in I mean, I might be a little biased, but it was a really great decision day. I think there's a lot of teams that are going into really hot form. There's a lot of teams that really made some big shocks. I think that overall decision day was a lot of fun. I honestly, like, the best part of having Apple TV, aside from having MLS 360, which, by the way, amazing feature that Apple TV did for MLS, which is basically like, if you guys don't know, Red Zone, NFL Red Zone, which is like, it's someone that, like, it's just kind of like, obviously analysts talking, and then they'll show like clips of each game, so you get the highlights as the games go on. So if you just want to watch all the games, and just get like little snippets of it, you could do that. And also the other feature is, obviously, you can play back games from before, so you can rewatch a game, and if you didn't catch it, you can just rewatch it at another day. But yeah, the fact that, like, obviously with decision day, everyone's trying to keep up to see who's going to go to the playoffs, who's not going to go to the playoffs, who gets home field advantage, who doesn't get home field advantage. So I think first year, just overall, man, first year for MLS with the Apple TV partnership. Apple TV just knocked it out of the park, man. I think the best. I think not only was the fact that they did such a great in production, but I want a little bit more. I want to see them do like some other behind the scenes stuff with like all the MLS teams. Maybe they'll do that one day. Obviously they're dropping that Messi documentary on Apple TV as well. I'm sure everybody's
for real.
Yeah, so there's gonna be a Messi documentary. Basically, I think it's Messi in America. Maybe they need to retitle that. But
it's only gonna be like maybe 2-3 episodes long because I mean he hasn't been here that long.
Probably, but like I think aside from that, I think MLS MLS and Apple TV really just was able to do really well. Obviously, the addition to having Messi boosted them even more so. But aside from that, man, like I think overall this was probably like a good thing for MLS and Apple TV. I think if you're a league in another league, like I wouldn't be surprised if Apple TV tries to get a deal with MLB, NFL, NBA, because if they're able to do this with MLS and getting so much viewership, mainly because of Messi, but I who's to say what they could do with the MLB, with the NFL? Because I mean, the fact that you have all the live sports in this one application, and then on top of that, you remove the blackouts. Which, if you guys don't know what blackouts are, blackouts is basically, for instance, if I bought MLB TV and I got it because I want to watch the Astros and I'm too cheap for cable, I still wouldn't be able to watch the Astros games because technically I'm in Houston. So they would say, "Oh, there's already a channel to watch the Houston Astros, so watch it there." And it's like, trust me, this is probably the few times that I got angry at a phone conversation because I was talking to MLB. I was like, "So why you guys tell me I can watch Astros games if I really can't watch Astros games?" And so that was a whole debauchery there. But essentially, Apple TV removed that because obviously they have all the rights to all the games. So there isn't a Houston specific broadcast. There's not a FC Dallas specific broadcast because they do the entire broadcast. They have their own broadcast teams, their own analytics team. So it's different, and I think it's really cool. And I wouldn't, not only would I say Apple TV, I wouldn't be surprised if the other streaming services jump in on this. Like, don't be surprised if Amazon tries to get their own deal. Don't be surprised if YouTube TV gets their own. I mean, YouTube TV is the ones I think they're running Red Zone now. But yeah, don't be surprised because I think that's going to be the new. You know, kind of like how the shift was once from public TV, and then it went to cable, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't be surprised if like maybe individual teams try to jump in on streaming services. I'm just saying, don't be surprised. I think that's going to be the new direction going when it comes to sports watching. I mean, look at it right now with like ESPN Plus and, you know, watching La Liga and watching like the English Championship and the FA Cup. Like, you can only watch it through that, right?
Yeah.
Shoot, one of the reasons why I got rid of cable was because I couldn't watch La Liga and beIN Sports because they took out beIN Sports, and now I don't have no reason to have beIN Sports besides watching League On. And yeah, I'm sure I'm really on top of watching League On. So yeah, I think that this is just the start of MLS. Like, it's going. I honestly, I know that I might be dumb for believing that because we saw what happened when David Beckham left, but I don't know. I feel like something's a little bit different this time. I think the production value being better. I think the league quality has definitely gotten a lot better, and now you're throwing the best player in the world. Don't you start, Edward. I honestly think that MLS is going to get better. I think this is just the start. This is just the beginning, and of course, you know, the new addition, San Diego FC. I wonder where you got that from, MLS. The new team in San Diego FC. Just gonna point that out. Anyways, but that's my overreaction. Like I said, I feel like maybe not too much of an overreaction, but I think maybe if you're like someone that doesn't like MLS, probably you guys think I'm ridiculous for saying that. But Edward, have you stumbled upon an overreaction?
Yeah, actually, I have, and I mean, you may not like it. So my overreaction is Chelsea over the weekend. Um, they basically had the 2-0 lead against Arsenal, and they somehow blew it. Which I'm not trying to talk down on Arsenal at all. They had a lot of opportunities at the very beginning, but Chelsea made them happen, you know? And I honestly thought Chelsea was going to win. Like, I legit was like, okay. I was like, the way the game's going, Chelsea's going to win. And then Arsenal with Declan Rice, like, goalie gave away that freaking that shot, basically. And Declan Rice, being Declan Rice, basically made it in. He was like, I got this. And then, shit, sure enough, he did. So I can't be mad at that because it was a hell of a good shot. And I mean, it's just little stuff like that where I'm like, that was just over exaggerated. Where I was like, oh damn, he shot it all the way from out there. At first, I was like, okay, he's curling it, it's going out. Didn't go out, went right in, and that's all I was like, damn. I was like, so that was, to me, that was my overreaction because I actually did think Chelsea was gonna win. Like when I saw the lineups to begin. And I was
Wait,
like,
from
okay,
seeing the
okay.
lineups, you thought that the lineup from Chelsea was better than the Arsenal lineup?
I thought Chelsea was gonna win. Like I did. Not by a big margin. I honestly thought the score was gonna be 1-1 or 1-0. Sorry. Um, because I just thought, like I said, I thought that Chelsea had the better defense, but I was wrong. And then plus I think Cucurella was coming back, so then that actually made me feel like maybe I was wrong. So that's why I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I was like, Cucurella's back. I was like, he's highly sought after, like people want him. It's just Chelsea basically has him and they value him very highly. So I figured I was like, okay, maybe he's gonna show what he can do. But sad to say, it was not what you expected at all. And I was like I said, when I thought it was 2-0, I was like, okay, Chelsea's got this. I was like, there's no way they're gonna blow that lead, especially like because it was late when that first goal came out. It was late. It was like what 60 something minute, and I was like, okay. I was like, they got this. I was like, it's just one goal. No, 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 nothing. Then yeah, it became basically like they Arsenal rescued that 1 point. So I was like, damn. I was like, all right. I was like, I guess they really want it. They wanted to win. It's just sad to say that they couldn't come out with it. But yeah, so like I said, my over exaggeration was Chelsea was gonna win. That was
Okay.
my over exaggeration.
I think I don't know, man. I feel like at least because I mean I was watching. Obviously, I was like watching because at the same time when the Chelsea Arsenal game came on, obviously Real Madrid and Sevilla came on. So, um, priorities. But yeah, like I don't know. I mean, ironically enough, both ended to be draws. But from what I was watching, because like the first goal obviously was a penalty for that Modric scored. The second goal, I don't think I really caught that one, but like after that, like Chelsea just really, I don't. I feel like they at that point they were playing not to lose instead of playing to win. I don't know if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah, they were just playing it.
Like they were
I
just
guess you could say they're not parking the bus, but they were playing to make sure that they were actually gonna end up ahead of Arsenal. Like once they got the two goals in, it's like they kind of stopped attacking a lot more.
Yeah, because I think like if there's one thing with Arsenal, you cannot like rest on your laurels, and also 2-0 is probably like one of the worst leads in all football because like I said, some teams do like rest on that laurel, like okay we're up 2-0, especially when you're up early because those two goals
yeah,
came in very early in the game, and like there's still plenty of game, and you're still talking about Arsenal, a very dynamic attack that they have up there. I mean. It probably wasn't the best day for like the guys that you usually expect from them. Obviously Declan came up big for Arsenal, and Trossard another big goal from him. Coming from that guy. But yeah, I think for me, I felt like at that point Chelsea was just playing to not lose instead of going for the win. And honestly, it, that beating Arsenal for Chelsea, that would have been such a huge boost of confidence for
oh
them.
yeah,
Because obviously, we all know the issues for Chelsea this year. But yeah, I feel like they missed out on a prime opportunity to like get some confidence back, not only in themselves but also for the fan base. Speaking of terrible confidence, that ends that inning. But yeah, no, yeah, I think that's just was the case of it, but. I mean, once again, kind of one of those games where you just got to give props to Arsenal, for staying in it, not
yeah,
giving
because
up
they didn't give up. They
not
didn't
giving
give
up
up.
when you're
I
down
mean,
2-0.
yeah, I mean,
I'm not gonna
to
lie,
be
bro.
honest, I think, yeah,
I
go ahead.
to me, like I'm not saying that Ramsdale would have stopped that penalty because once again, penalties are like it can go either way. Like in my eyes, like I don't like once again, I don't know how you become a specialist at penalties. I think honestly, you just become a good guesser. Like that's really that's like saying I'm great at paper rock scissors. Like I mean, like it's not really like it's just being able to out mentally. It's like more of a mental game. Can you fluster somebody in a penalty? More so than anything else. Like, can you make the moment bigger than what it really is? Which I think Emi Martinez is one of the guys that are really good at that. But even then, he still gets scored on. In penalty. So like once again, I don't really know what a penalty specialist is because I mean, I've seen more people score on penalties than not. But I'm not, and this isn't me trying to take shots on David Raya. I think this is just because I'm still on the Aaron Ramsdale train. Like I still like Aaron
Mm,
Ramsdale. Like I'm still trying to figure out why we brought David Raya. I know what he's good at. I know that David Raya is good. I'm not saying that he's bad or by any means, but it was just confusing to me when you already have your number one goalkeeper and you go in and bring in another goalkeeper that I would argue should be a number one goalkeeper as well. And I don't even think
just somewhere else.
yeah, like I mean, to me, like even Aaron Ramsdale, like I mean, yeah, he has his moments. He can kind of be a wild card, but I kind of like that about him. Like I like the edginess of Aaron Ramsdale. Like I don't think Arsenal, losing out last year was his fault. It was more so injuries. You lost your best defender in William Saliba. But like and so I'm still like Aaron Ramsdale. I'm still team Aaron Ramsdale. I think the goals that were scored on David Raya like is not necessarily all on him. Like once again, a penalty. They either make it or they don't with penalties. Either you guess the right side or you don't. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah,
I don't really think that there's like a real skill factor into that one. Like that doesn't I won't judge a goalkeeper for letting a penalty in. If anything, I get more pumped when I see a penalty being stopped because it's like so rare that it happens. But and then the other goal, I don't think that was like necessarily all on him. But like I said, man, after that there was really no other mistakes that happened for Arsenal. So I mean, once again, David Raya, I think he's a top goalkeeper. It just sucks that because like I think this is kind of like the end of Aaron Ramsdale at Arsenal. I think he's leaving I think he's leaving in January. Like because I mean I there's rumors that other clubs are interested in him. So I mean if he's not playing for Arsenal, what is there for him to do? You know what I mean? Um,
yeah.
which once again sucks for me because I really like I said I really like Aaron Ramsdale, but I also like David Raya. I think both of them are good. I just like the Brit.
I think you like the Brit because it's a Brit club. You know what I mean? But Aaron Ramsdale has proven himself before that he is capable. It's just like you said, y'all actually had their key defender who was out due to injury, and they're expecting basically Aaron Ramsdale. Even if they get through the defense, they're expecting Aaron Ramsdale to be basically a wall, which is pretty hard to do in the EPL.
Oh, the Astros are now down 10-3. Progress.
Hey man, it's possible. It's just that means they basically as long as 7 of their players gets a hit, like a home run, single runs, it's possible.
Never mind. It is now 11-3. So leads back up.
Jesus.
And of course it's Ardolis Garcia.
They are just destroying them. Who's pitching right now? Who's closing?
Urquidy's pitching right now.
Still?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're just trying to get through. You're just trying to get by. You're not. This game's definitely over. There's there is so many empty seats now. Yeah, Rangers are going to the World Series. I've been saying they're going to the World Series. It's just, yeah.
Now that extra run solidifies it.
No, I mean they were going to the World Series. It's just deflating. It's just deflating. Yeah. It happens.
So back to our conversation at hand. That was my overreaction.
Yeah, all right. But yeah, so that's overreactions. Like I said, we're gonna go ahead and move on to our MLS Cup preview with Jose Tellez of GolzTV. We're gonna talk about. We're actually gonna talk a little bit about San Diego FC. So we'll tell you guys about the newest addition and overall. Also explain to you guys the new MLS Cup Playoffs format. So we'll also be doing that as well, just so you guys know what the hell's going on. And then yeah, so we'll go ahead and switch over right now. All right, man. MLS Cup preview. It is finally here after an amazing decision day. We're finally able to talk MLS Cup, and joining me is actually sponsoring this segment, which is GolzTV. GolzTV is the Hulu of soccer content, man. If you guys are struggling finding the soccer content that you need, whether you're like international or maybe a specific MLS team or just MLS in general, or you want to see what the fuck these Americans think about the game of footy or soccer or whatever the fuck everybody calls it, GolzTV is your one-stop destination. And with me, of course, is the man responsible for this amazing application, website, whatever the hell you want to call it, is none mastermind, Jose Tellez.
Hey, Hector, I appreciate it, man. This is I'm glad we're talking playoffs. It's honestly one of my favorite times of the year. Appreciate the GolzTV shout out too, man. A lot of exciting stuff coming to the platform. Our first pro league coming to the platform very, very soon. I'll tease that a little bit more later. But yeah, man, we're talking playoffs today. It's my favorite time of the year. It's just better that Dallas was able to make it work on the final day of the season. Gave me not a heart attack, but close to it, man. So I'm excited as a fan. I'm locked in for the wild card matchups this week. The round one coming this weekend, man. There's a lot of action coming.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, kind of go back to decision day. So my overreaction for this episode is actually I thought that this was the best decision day ever. I could be a little bit biased by it, but this was. I felt like there was a moment where there was a big majority of teams that had something to play for going into decision day, and I think, and also props to Apple TV, man. They knocked it out of the park this year. Unfortunately, the Astros didn't. No, I'm not sad about the loss. But yeah, so decision day, awesome thing I found it amazing. Like I said, it was my overreaction. But if you were to sum up decision day for you, where would you rank it?
Man, and there have been some decent ones, right? Last year was kind of lukewarm. I really felt like 2021 was pretty epic too. I feel like we haven't had a decision day where there was so much movement in at least 3 or 4 seasons as we did this year. This year, I don't think it's an overreaction at all. Hector, I think we how many teams actually moved within the standings on that day, right? When you saw Houston beating Portland, when we saw Kansas City taking it to Minnesota, at least in the West, right, where there was the biggest opportunity for movement, Dallas doing what they do against a very, very bottom of the barrel, LA Galaxy side. All of those things, man, combining Chicago not being able to get it done, Red Bull somehow figuring it out late with the penalty against Nashville. There's, Charlotte after that disappointing draw against Miami midweek, coming back and figuring out a way to make it work, against them again. Man, there was just so much to keep up with. It honestly felt like I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to tune into, right? We kind of had two major blocks of games. Thankfully, Apple TV kind of has that quad screen feature that you can use. I was all over that, man, and it was crazy. I had some bold predictions that didn't work out. My Chicago Fire prediction didn't work out. But the FC Dallas one did. That's the only one that matters, man. So yeah, bro. This was definitely one of the better decision days in recent seasons for sure.
Yeah, shout out to MLS 360, man. Definitely came in clutch for decision day. Before we get to the playoffs, man, I just gotta say, San Diego FC, another InsertName FC coming into the MLS. What's your thoughts on it?
It was sad, bro.
Speaking of obviously USL San Diego, the USL affiliate, San Diego Loyal, unfortunately.
Yeah,
their season.
Yeah, it was. We'll talk about San Diego FC really quick. I don't know how anybody else feels about that badge. I think it's kind of crazy that it got so unanimously shit on. I think it's really just the color scheme. I think they had gone something a little more California or San Diego-esque, it probably would have been just easier to take for a lot of the fans. But with that said, it's just kind of cool to see a new franchise ramping up, and I'm sure there's going to be more things that we pick apart from their perspective. But with the Loyal, man, in the USL, it was sad, man. I mean, like the goal from Formella for the Phoenix Rising was, I mean, I was watching it in extra time. I was thinking, dude, it's going to go to penalty kicks. Loyal fans are going to go crazy if they win it. And that little just dink to the back corner of the net, you just felt the stadium die all at once, right? Like everyone just collectively fell. And it felt like I think the best way to put it was what I saw Herculez Gomez say on Twitter right afterward. He was like, it felt like I was watching an episode of Breaking Bad towards the end of the series, right? Where you kind of felt bad for a lot of the characters involved. That's kind of how this felt. It was just like, you want to cheer for them. They were also a 3 seed versus a 6 seed, so you kind of expected them to move on. Fantastic game being 4-3 and went to extra time. I think a lot of us were just pulling for the Loyal with them, this being their last season, right? So not the way that you want to go out as a club, but at the same time, I tip my hat to that whole organization. Hopefully San Diego FC can give off similar vibes once they're up and running.
Yeah, exactly, man. So yeah, there's that. San Diego FC, though. We'll see what happens there. But so far, it's just funny that like the inspiration of this podcast was literally making fun of these MLS team names, and it just keeps going, man. You couldn't do
the most basic shit in the world. Yeah,
you couldn't do a United. You couldn't.
Just something, bro. Give us something else that's a little bit different. I don't know, man. I mean, I guess had it been FC San Diego, you think anybody else would have been? I don't know. Would that have helped at all? Probably not.
It's like different, but not really, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
So we'll see how that goes. But obviously, this is going to be kind of moving on from the playoffs. But leading goal scorer for the season was Dennis Bouanga from LAFC with 20 goals. The leading assist person was Thiago Almada with 16 assists for Atlanta United. And the clean sheet leader was Stefan Fry from Seattle with 14 clean sheets. I don't know. Obviously, they're not going to announce MVP just yet, but I would imagine the 3 names that are going to come up is Dennis Bouanga, Luciano Acosta, and Thiago Almada. All of them combining for 27 goal contributions this season. I personally would go for Acosta. I mean, what they did in Cincinnati was unbelievable, but I think any of these 3 could definitely. It'd be hilarious for Almada just because he won the World Cup. Well, I guess not hilarious, but awesome for him. Just won the World Cup, and then Atlanta United, which everybody was really uncertain going into the season. And, this dude has come up pretty clutch for them this year.
Yeah, he has, bro. And look, I think Almada's a big one for me because of the assists, right? Like, we bro, it's so easy for us to just pick the top goal scorer and be like, hey, that's also our MVP. Fuck it, right? Like, it's just easy. Let's give it to him. I think Bouanga, for me, it's kind of like the I don't know, man. It's like with how many opportunities he took even away from his own teammates at LAFC, I would say I almost expected him to be top goal scorer. I sort of remember, I don't remember how many weeks ago it was. It might have been towards the end of Leagues Cup, or maybe I think it was the Campeones Cup against Tigres. I think there was the moment where he was taking on two center backs, the only two in the back line on a break, and he had Vela wide open to his right. And I remember him just bypassing that option and taking it himself, and didn't score, got kind of close, right? But to me, it summarized who Denny Bouanga really is, which is like, he wants to be that guy. He wants to be the Kobe on his team, right? Take all of those opportunities and maximize them the best that he can. So for me, it kind of makes sense that he is the top goal scorer. But considering how up and down LAFC really were, I think the more consistent team was Cincinnati. I think I agree with you. I think Lucho Acosta has to be, in my opinion, the guy that we look to for the MVP, considering that 3 seasons ago, Cincinnati weren't anywhere near where they are today. In this short amount of time, without building their team around these global superstars, look at where they are now, right? Supporters Shield winners. They have that home field advantage in the playoffs. I'm expecting them to go very, very deep. If not MLS Cup final, then at least the conference finals. I think Lucho Acosta will lead the way. So for me, he was a surprise this season in the best way possible. I think he has to take home MVP, but it is close. I think for those who are looking at Bouanga, be like, you can't ignore his goals. You're right. You can't ignore them. But maybe this is a hot take, man. I don't know how you feel about this. Personally, I think Bouanga is slightly overrated, in my opinion. I think in MLS, he looks really good, right? I'm not dragging MLS by any means, right? But against certain defenses in this league, he looks really good. But I have also seen him look very mid. I've seen him miss very easy opportunities. Like I said, it's a law of averages. You take enough shots or take enough goal-scoring opportunities yourself, and you have the quality, you're going to bag those goals, right? As someone who's come from Europe and has that pedigree, he will bag those goals. But I don't know, man. I almost expected more from him, especially considering how quickly he started the season. The CONCACAF Champions League might have thrown some things off. Leagues Cup might have thrown some things off for him. I was just expecting I get something a little bit more, right? And maybe MLS will one day reach the heights of other leagues where they're breaking 20-plus goals in the season to take home the Golden Boot. But I don't know, man. I think Lucho Acosta surprised a lot of people in a very positive way and didn't need that crazy star-studded lineup of LAFC to be what I feel is the right MVP for this year. So we'll see. I don't know if anybody hard disagrees with me on the Bouanga front. I think he's good, but for how much hype he actually gets, to me, he's kind of overrated.
No, I can see that. I think for MVP, which I feel like there's other leagues that don't necessarily do this right with MVP. I think they've mistaken it for best player when we're talking about valuable player who brings the most impact to the team. And
yeah,
maybe I'm biased because Acosta is the captain for Cincinnati, but 17 goals and 10 assists. That's really impact. That's impact right there. That's as impactful as it gets, man.
Yep.
Not only can he score, but he can also dish it out. And then like I said, I wouldn't be mad if Thiago Almada wins it because he was very, literally valuable. Very. I don't think without Almada, I don't know if Atlanta would be having the success that they would have this season.
Agreed.
So, but I think Acosta definitely he gets it for me. All right, man. So this season's MLS playoff format, which Jesus Christ, how many variations are we gonna have? Till we finally get it right.
Bro. That's rough.
But the first round is the wild card round, which would be a single elimination game between the 8th and 9th seed of each conference. There's penalties immediately after a draw, so there will be no extra time. It is decided right then and there on penalties, and obviously the winner will then go play against the first seed in the first round. First round this is where things get a little weird. Is a best of 3 series. So the higher seed would obviously have home field where it would be home away home. No draws, no aggregate. Once again, also penalties immediately after the draws. So that is the first round. That's going to be the only thing that's kind of different to everybody. And then the conference semifinals from there on out is obviously higher seed gets home field, single elimination game, extra time after a draw, and then back into penalties if needed. And that basically sums up the playoffs this year. The only thing that's different is this round 1, and we'll definitely talk about that when we get to when we talk about the first round, because I feel like that does change some things. But wildcard, man, Eastern Conference, 8th place, New York Red Bulls, dramatic finish to get into the playoffs. And then talk about another dramatic finish to get into the playoffs in ninth place, Charlotte FC making their playoff debut, if you feel like the wildcard round counts as playoffs. But I think this is going to be a fun matchup. I think everyone's going to be really, I think as an unbiased fan, this is going to be a really fun, very grinded out type of game. But when it comes to that, obviously Red Bull gets the home field advantage for this one. Do you see New York being able to move on to the next round?
I think so. And I know Red Bulls just, historically haven't had like a ton. They have this crazy 14 season record, right, of making it to the playoffs and being that team. And I kind of, in some ways, FC Dallas doesn't have the same record, but me being a Dallas fan, I kind of at times compare them to someone like the Red Bulls in the sense that we're consistent with making playoffs, but the runs in playoffs that second season, right, aren't always there. With that said, I still think that this Charlotte team doesn't have a playoff history. They barely snuck in, and that's because there is a 9th seed in this new playoff format for MLS, which I don't want to dig into the whole new format. It feels like someone was drunk when they came up with it. I don't really know, right? But at the end of the day, I think that's the only reason they're realistically in. And don't get me wrong, Red Bulls cut it close on decision day, but Charlotte needed to play the same opponent twice to close out the season. And granted, that opponent, right, without Messi, is bottom 2 in the league. And so I think that, that has to be taken into account when you think about things like predictions. But with that said, Red Bulls are not a high-scoring team. So you mentioned before, right, this is going to be a game where I think you have to kind of grind it out over the course of 90 minutes. I think this can also be one that we really, the first game of this broader playoff season that we see enter penalty kicks. I don't know, man. It's going to be very close. I do have Red Bulls edging it out. Like, if I had to put a score on it, I would say it's like 2-1. I could see Red Bulls, conceding a goal against the Charlotte team because Charlotte will be amped and ready to go, especially coming off of, their first big decision day victory. But I still think that experience counts for a lot at this part of the season, like any other sport. And the home field advantage will be key. I know that sometimes in Jersey, they don't get a lot of credit for having massive turnouts to these Red Bull matches, but it's playoffs. There should be more incentive for fans to show up, and it's not, there's not going to be a ton of that support for Charlotte fans. So yeah, I had Red Bulls going through, but I think a lot of fans probably agree with me.
No, yeah, I agree with that. I think inexperience here is going to come into a factor, and that's what Charlotte FC does not have a lot of. So I'm also with New York Red Bulls on this one. I would honestly say if I'm FC Cincinnati right now, I would want Charlotte. I don't think it happens, but yeah. So that's where I'm at. And then the Western Conference, Sporting Kansas City. Also, once again, late drama going into the decision day, but Sporting Kansas City gets in that 8th place spot, and they're taking on a 9th place San Jose Earthquakes team who I deem is frisky. So I think with this one, unfortunately, I'm going with experience here, and Sporting Kansas City, they know what they need to do in the playoffs. I think they're that kind of team that they just need to be in it to get going. So I actually think Sporting Kansas City is going to handle San Jose pretty easily, especially going into that hostile environment in Kansas City.
Yeah, seriously. And that's, I agree with you mainly for that last point. I think Kansas City fans are built different. I think the Midwest is built different when it comes to soccer in this country. I think it will be tough for San Jose to go, on the road and try to get a result. But this to me is the juicier of the two matchups. I think that there's a strong opportunity for this game to be a lot more open. I think that this could be like a 2-2 or a 3-2, right? Because as of late, Kansas City has been scoring goals. If Pulido continues the format that he's been on as of late, not only is he really going to earn him and that team a spot in that round one, but I think he may also start warranting some looks from La Selección, right, from the national team. But putting that aside, I think, yeah, over the course of the entire season, you can argue San Jose maybe has had a more consistent and better year, but that's because Sporting Kansas City started absolutely dreadful, right? They had 10 winless weeks before they ever started really kind of seeing some traction. We were talking about Peter Vermees getting sacked, and now we're at a point where we realistically think that these forwards are, especially, whether it's Johnny Russell, whether it's, Daniel Shalhoub helping Pulido out, whatever it may be, they just feel like they're more lethal. And then you layer on the home field advantage that they're going to have, and it really will be a true advantage. I don't know, man. I think it's tough for a San Jose team that for me over the last couple of months has been like a tale of two halves. You know, I know when Dallas played them a few weeks ago, it felt like they came out very strong in the first half, and then the momentum just kind of died, and Dallas started really kind of dominating in the second half and opening the game up. I think we're going to see that. I think Luchi Gonzalez's side is still kind of young. They have some playmakers, don't get me wrong, but I expect Sporting Kansas City to go through. That's just my prediction. I could see a decently high scoring game, you know, a 3-2, something along those lines, but or even like a 3-1. I think that Sporting Kansas City should walk away with this one and make it really interesting. That's this matchup I want. I want to see Sporting Kansas City against St. Louis. I have to see it. I want to see the Midwest rivalry. Which fan base is better, right? In a best of three, that one's going to be juicy.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I think obviously if you're St. Louis SC, actually, I think if you're St. Louis, you do want Kansas City just specifically because of the rivalry. Though, if they want an easier route, because we're talking about two teams that have literally never been in this kind of position. Literally, if St. Louis has never been here, but for FC Cincinnati, this is new, being the first seed in their conference. Obviously, they would kind of want the easier opponent in San Jose, but I think when you throw in the Missouri rivalry, that just makes things even juicier for St. Louis fans. But obviously, round one, Eastern Conference, obviously the winners of the wild cards would either take on FC Cincinnati or St. Louis SC, since they are the first seeds in both conferences. But kind of sticking with the Eastern Conference, I don't know why I can't say words today. We have third place Columbus Crew taking on sixth place Atlanta United. Fourth place Philadelphia Union taking on fifth place New England. I can't type either. Revolution. And second place Orlando City SC versus seventh place Nashville SC. And I'm gonna this is where we're gonna start talking about the round, of how unique round one is.
Yeah.
Who benefits right now from having this 3-game series in the first round?
It kind of depends, man. I mean, if I had to look at it like almost matchup by matchup, like normally I'm inclined, no matter what, right? I think most of us as fans are inclined to say the higher seed. Whoever has the home field advantage across these matchups, across these 3 games, is typically going to be the one that I favor and should go through. But this is a weird year. You know, a year in the West where second and eighth place were separated by like 5 or 6 points. The East was a lot, it was settled a lot quicker, and you kind of had those teams at the top. It's very top heavy, right? That just dominated and solidified their positions very early. But I still think that this is going to be a season, and of course it's happening in a year where we have a brand new playoff format, and that's why MLS is I think by the end of it going to feel like this is the way to go. But there's going to be a lot of upsets, I feel. I was originally coming in here inclined to say that I felt like if we looked at, for example, the Columbus-Atlanta matchup in the East, I was going to feel like Atlanta had some momentum going into this. I know how good the Columbus Crew are. Don't get me wrong. I know how many experienced star-studded players they have on that roster, especially after the moves they made in the summer. But I felt like if Almada and Giacomakis were firing on all cylinders heading into playoffs, it was going to be very hard to stop their ability to counter you, right? Mm-hmm. But with Almada now missing a game in that best of 3, it changes things dramatically. I think because of that, Columbus goes through. It's going to be hard, I think, without your best playmaker on the pitch to keep up with that midfield, to keep up with the scoring rate of guys like Cucho Hernandez. There's going to be a lot, right? There's just, Gressel, everybody else, right? There's going to be a lot to keep up with if you're an Atlanta United fan or player. But with that said, Philly, New England, I know New England's struggling after the whole post-Bruce Arena scandal stuff, but Philly's defense hasn't been as much of a lock as it has been in recent seasons. So there's some openings there that we can really talk about. And Orlando, Nashville, straightforward to me. I think Orlando, I think after what I saw between Nashville and the Red Bulls on decision day, and kind of this feeling that Mukhtar has to carry this Nashville team, Orlando to me is Pareja's got them moving, right? They're moving mad right now. I think that right now, I didn't see Orlando finishing as a second seed. I can see them making light work and not even getting to the third game, right? So in the East, there's so much. The storylines vary greatly, and there's so much to appreciate, even if you're not a fan of any one of these, Eastern Conference teams.
No, I agree. I think I'm gonna just straight up say like who really benefits from these 3-game series is actually the first seeds. Once again, we're talking about inexperience, and I mean if it was a one-off game, especially if you're talking about potentially facing New York, potentially facing Sporting Kansas City, that, the lack of experience is going to be a factor going into those games. And I mean, say they have a bad first game, now they have time to the jitters comes off, and now they can go back to being who they are, which is the first those first seed teams. So I mean, I'm just gonna straight up just say I don't really think it benefits anybody else except for the new first seed teams, because they've never been here before, and now they get a chance to make their adjustment after getting that punch in the mouth. But yeah, I think Eastern Conference, every single one is going to be get your popcorn ready, because I think they're all going to be great matches. And I think what adds with that 3-game series is that Philadelphia Union, like you said, hasn't been necessarily that Philadelphia Union backline that we're used to seeing. But one bad game against Revolution, maybe they make their adjustments. They're going to see them again. They're going to see the same thing over again. I'm sure a little tweaks to it, but now they have their time to adjust, especially, everyone feels very highly of the management over at Philadelphia. But Eastern Conference, yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Looking at the Western Conference, we got LAFC taking on Vancouver Whitecaps. Houston Dynamo, thank God, are taking on a great. I honestly say, if there was like a dream matchup for the Dynamo going into in their return in the playoffs, let it be Real Salt Lake. Just let it be Real Salt Lake. I mean, they've been our confidence boost for quite some time now this year. So I
mean, bro, like it's one of those things, right, where I think in the West there's one straightforward matchup. Talking about Houston, Real Salt Lake, I do think Houston makes. And I say it. I don't want Real Salt Lake fans to get pissy about this, right? But it's not so much a reflection of Real Salt Lake. RSL, pretty decent side, had that crazy run in the middle of the season where I feel like they couldn't lose. And then they brought in Arango, right? If like it just layered on top some true finishing ability. I don't even know if he'll be available for the first of the 3 matchups. But with that said, Dallas swept them this season. I think I expect Houston, with how well they're playing, I expect Baird, Quinones, Herrera to just have a field day. Like, in my opinion, I just, with how open this Houston attack really is, Houston's the one team on the Western side that I'm scared of. I'm not scared of LAFC. I'm not scared of St. Louis City. Dallas has beaten all these teams this season. The only team that we have not beaten is Houston. We haven't beaten Seattle. We've drawn them both times. But with that said, Dallas and Seattle have a playoff history against one another, right? Mm-hmm. We've seen this team 5 or 6 times in the past seasons, usually right about this stage, round 1 or going into the conference semis. And so I feel like they still have a lot of the same veterans they've had in previous years. I feel like because there's more familiarity there, it's not that scary. But there's going to be a game plan going into this. We've gone to Lumen Field earlier this season, got a point. The match at Toyota Stadium in Frisco, I feel like we dropped points. It was a game where we were kind of dominating to an extent, and they nicked a goal in the middle of the second half. I feel better, but if we had matched up against someone like Houston, I think it's just the team you don't want to see right now. In terms of the entire Western Conference, the 4 seed doesn't do the Houston Dynamo justice. They already have a cup this season. I'm fully expecting them to make a very deep run. And we don't have to give too many teasers for what's coming after round 1 on this show today, but I can see them in the conference final, man, 100%. I think it's going to be. I'm glad we're on the other side of the bracket. We'll put it that way. I'm glad that if we ever have to worry about Houston, it won't be till it's late in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think obviously the other thing that people always mention when it comes to the Houston Dynamo in the playoffs is whenever they are in the playoffs, they go pretty far in the playoffs. The history's wild, man. Yeah, so the Dynamo obviously one of the better playoff teams in MLS history, which is always a sick flex to have. But yeah, man, Seattle, FC Dallas, like each one of these matchups, I really enjoy. I think, and then once again, the teams that benefit most from a 3-game series is St. Louis City SC, their first year as an MLS club, and I mean, way to raise the bar here for FC San Diego.
Yeah, seriously, man. I think, as far as expansion teams go, that is the new bar. But I also say this, like, St. Louis, a team that Dallas beat 2-0 earlier in the season, is It depends on which version shows up. I'll say this right now: if I had to make predictions, my two biggest upset predictions on the west side of the bracket, I can see Sporting Kansas City, provided they get past San Jose, and I'm assuming that they will. I could see them pulling off the upset because of the rivalry, because their fans are going to travel. You know that they're going to have some support in each one of those matches. Then it just becomes about who wants it more, who's got more experience at the helm. And right now, with this being the inaugural season for St. Louis, you just have to assume that Kansas City is going to come in with a decent amount of momentum. And they're doing this on the back of a couple matches that were literally finals for them, right? It was do or die. With how poorly they started the season, Decision Day started like 2 weeks ago for Sporting Kansas City. You know what I mean? Like, they had to keep winning for Decision Day to be meaningful to them. And now they're in the wild card. I think they carry that momentum, and they give St. Louis some real problems. I can see Sporting Kansas City going through. And the other match that I think is strong potential for upset are the two, or the matches, I should say, are the two outside of the Houston RSL. To me, Houston RSL is going to be pretty straightforward. I think Houston goes through. I expect LAFC to close Vancouver out in a pretty controlled way. But if they don't, that will be the upset of playoffs by far. I think if the Whitecaps get past LAFC in a 3-game format, everyone's bracket is busted. I don't think that anybody's going to make that prediction. It would just be kind of crazy. It wouldn't be the first time we ever saw a 6-seed upset a 3-seed, but it would just, with how good LAFC is, they're technically still the defending champions. I expect them to win that out pretty easily. But you never know, right? It's playoffs. And then I think with Dallas and Seattle, I know this is a homer pick. I just think we know how to play against this team to an extent. And right now, this is, of all the playoff versions of the Seattle Sounders that we've seen in recent history, this is the least intimidating version by far. Like, I'm not anywhere close to being scared of this Sounders team as compared to previous seasons where we've seen them in the playoffs, and it's just been incredibly difficult to go up against them. So I think that there's some strong upset potential on the west side as well.
No, yeah, I think that this is definitely one of the most. If you're a Seattle Sounders fan, I would imagine that this year was pretty overwhelming. A lot of guys are getting old, man, in Seattle. I think that's kind of the thing. I haven't really seen Seattle make any really much adjustments to it. They're gonna have to address some things come the offseason, that they're gonna have to make some changes, bring some new faces in.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, right. It also, we talk about bringing new faces in. They're going to have to replace Nico Ladero. They're going to have to, right? Yeah. This is the last season. He's already announced he's played his last home game for the Sounders, and he's going to. And of course, Dallas has to be wary of that, right? They're going to ride some of that momentum. When you hear it's a player's last dance, that player has been so instrumental to where you've been over the last half decade or so as a club. The players are going to rally around that. They're going to, push to make the deepest run possible so that they can send off Nico in style, right? 100%. But I still think that if Sounders weren't so up and down, and when I say up and down, I mean, guys, like, how many points separated Seattle and Dallas? There was 7 points that separated second and seventh. So I think certain fans look at the seeding between Seattle and Dallas and say, oh, it's second against seventh. Second should easily win. I even see MLS writers like Sam Jones making it seem that straightforward, that Dallas has just been this underwhelming team. And offensively, that's probably true. I think what most people don't realize, though, is that defensively, we've given up less goals than just about every team ahead of us except for Seattle, right? So every team ahead of us in the standings, we have a better defensive record, whether it's home or away, except for the Sounders. So this could go either way, right? This could be 3-1-0s, or we could see 3 consecutive penalty kick shootouts. Like, we really could. It could be that close between Seattle and Dallas, and I think there's going to be a little bit of some playoff history that comes into play there. We'll see, man. It's going to be one of the ties of the round for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, the fact that, like, come decision day, no one knew who was going to be the second seed should have been a big indication of how real close it was for. Because, any of these teams could have been second. Anybody could have been seventh. That's really how it was.
Crazy.
7 points. That's literally 2 wins and a draw. It's like, so, I mean, I expect. I'm obviously going to expect some upsets because of this 3-game series format for it. I think that's going to open up that there is going to be a potential upset And I can see FC Dallas because, like I said, it's been overwhelming for Seattle this year. That's the only reason why I see it that way. Like, it's not that might be one of those games that goes to 3 games. Same thing with Columbus Crew and Atlanta United. I can see that being one of those games that go to 3 games. There's games that are look like they're going to be a little bit clear. That it's going to be a sweep. But when I look at games that are going to go the distance, Columbus Crew and Atlanta United and Seattle and FC Dallas to me are games that it's going to have to go down to that final game. And then plus,
I think so too.
No one can tie, so you have to win these games. They're going to go to penalties, and that's going to be another caveat because this is going to become super stressful super quickly. There is going to be teams that are going to be fighting for that draw so they can go to PKs, and there's going to be teams that are going to be doing all they can, throw the kitchen sink out there just to avoid penalties.
Bro, I think Dallas is going to be one of those teams. Not being the one that throws the kitchen sink. I think Dallas is because look at it, man. What's crazy is that there's been a ton of draws. Dallas has drawn 13 matches this season. That is more than our wins or our loss count. They've drawn 13 matches, and a lot of those came towards the tail end of the season against great teams: Atlanta United, the Philadelphia Union, Seattle Sounders, a lot of playoff teams, Columbus Crew. Some of these guys that were already locking up playoffs pretty early. And so I think it says a lot about our ability to at least keep games very competitive, which says to me that in a 3-game format, if you know that there's not going to be an extra time, a period, and you could just go right to penalty kicks, I can totally see Coach Nico building that into his strategy. I guarantee you all week this week, penalty kicks are going to be part of the training schedule, whatever it's going to look like, the regimen every day this week, 100%. I think that there's going to be part of that in the back of his mind that says, look, I'm going to know who my 5 shooters are going into this. And if at 10 minutes left in the match, this game is close, it's still at a draw, I'm just going to play for the penalty kick shootout and trust my team to do it. I was at the playoff match last year where Dallas beat Minnesota on penalty kicks. And I could just see this team, almost implementing that same strategy again. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man. This is going to be an amazing first round of playoffs. Hopefully we were right about who we think is going to win the wild card. If not, it's okay. I'm used to being wrong. So
same.
Except that the Inter Miami didn't make it to the wild card round, so didn't have to give away a jersey. So
yeah, seriously, bro. So, how many people had him in, right? Myself included. I thought after we saw what happened in the Leagues Cup, I thought, dude, getting into playoffs now should be super straightforward. But it does show you that MLS is still competitive as hell, man. You can't start off that poorly and expect the best player in the world to save you when you're that many points behind, right? So shout out to Charlotte. I think, and no matter what, man, if Charlotte lose, this is still progression for the club.
Yeah.
Right? This is still a positive season, a positive end to the season for them. They got into, again, if you call wild card playoffs, and they got into the playoffs, something they haven't done before. And I think that if you go out to the Red Bulls, a team who has a massive playoff history, I think that's solid progression for this club. And Charlotte FC fans shouldn't be too upset. I think the only reason that you get upset would be if you get blown out in the wild card. If you get absolutely dunked on by the Red Bulls, that's probably the last thing you want to happen. But I don't see Red Bulls pumping in a ton of goals either. Yeah,
I agree 100%. That is for sure. So enjoy the new format or hate it. I don't know. I'm definitely going to be criticizing that once this first round is complete. But don't worry, once this first round's over, it's back to normal playoff soccer that we're all used to. Or not used to.
So weird, bro. So weird. Yeah, it's so weird. This whole format's going to throw people for a loop. But I will say this, once you get to that part of it, past round 1, it's just single elimination. It's going to be hard to predict. Well, I guess it depends on the teams that make it in, man. If there are a lot of upsets in round 1 and everybody's playoff bracket is busted, I think even if it is single elimination, those conference semifinal matches are going to be juicy. I really, it's going to feel unlike anything MLS fans have experienced up to this point, and it probably will regardless. But I feel like if the potential for upsets is high with this new playoff format, MLS is going to double down on it. Who knows? They may introduce some crazier, bells and whistles on top of this format for next season. Who knows? I was really surprised they didn't go with the 2 legs in the semifinal before a single elimination in the final. But Maybe that's they just took that game, put it into the round one, make it a best of three, and we still get the same amount of matches technically. So I don't know, man. We'll see. I'm just really hoping that this is at a minimum still very entertaining.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really important for MLS. Obviously, you've gotten your audience now with the addition to Messi Mania, so you definitely want to have a big show for them and get. Obviously, you got the attention now. Now the goal is to keep them, and so hopefully the playoffs can do that for you. I'm really excited, man. I can't wait. MLS playoffs is very dramatic. The conclusion will be on December 9th. They always have the playoffs around my birthday. It's always kind of funny to me. I get like this whole weekend of just Liga MX final and MLS Cup, so it's always a cool weekend for me.
That's dope, man. I like that. So I take it. So yeah. So with that said, I mean, going into like that last, that first week of November, I'm fully expecting. I'll be honest, bro. I'm fully expecting Houston to be there and potentially against someone like, let's say, LAFC. Well, let me ask you this, right? If that's, you guys get the defending champions, and I just want to get like a hot take from you early before we even get to what the rest of the matches could look like. Do you guys think like right now you're firing on all cylinders enough to a point where you guys could take down LAFC in that single? And I think in a one game matchup, anything can happen. But for that reason, Bouanga could score like, what was it pretty recently? He had that first half hat trick, right? Crazy shit like that could happen in a single elimination match. But equally, you guys could do what you did in US Open Cup and pump in goals very, very early. How would you predict that matchup goes if you see someone that strong in the conference final?
I think when people think about the Dynamo, at least from what my experience is, obviously they like the midfield that the Dynamo have. I think you can probably say is one of the top midfields in MLS. I wouldn't say I don't want to say best one because then everyone's gonna think I'm a cocky asshole. But I definitely want to say it though. But
it's definitely one of the best between Bassi and Herrera and like I mean Carrasquilla. I think it's actually that's a solid argument. Like for the best midfield right now in MLS.
Yeah, because I mean
I don't know who else you could really put up there.
Yeah, with that combination of Herrera, Bassi. Sometimes they put Bassi up top, but obviously Coco Carrasquilla, who potentially might be going to Europe come this winter. And then of course Arthur, who I think a lot of people are sleeping on how underrated this guy has. This is definitely a big key that happened for the Dynamo. But I think defensively, this team has been very gritty. I think that the defense that the Dynamo have, especially with the addition of Eric Shatenko, definitely became a leader in that back line, and you can see the improvement from that back line after he came on for the team. So I think that for the Dynamo, I think it's just play Houston ball, which is getting dirt, just being that, which is kind of the Dynamo of old, that blue collar, grind out kind of victories. That's always how they have played back in the day, and I feel like it's always great to bring that mentality back. And I think guys like Hector Herrera, Arthur, they're definitely bringing that working mentality going back into it. The attack, I mean, Corey Barrett has definitely become more and more reliable as days have gone. But I think that's going to be the question mark, is where are we getting those goals from? It always seems like it's somebody different every once in a while. So I think that's the important part. But when you have a midfield that has Coco Carrasquilla and Hector Herrera, that they're going to be finding guys that are open and making sure that they can take advantage. But with LAFC, I think it's just keeping them quiet, keeping those passing lanes as close as you can. And I think once again, you got Arthur, who's really smart with smart at closing lanes, and once again Shinchenko, who I think next year hopefully could be one of the top defenders in MLS. I think that them just being on point defensively and just finally when the Dynamo get that opportunity, and it could be the fact that maybe no one has an answer for Nelson Quiones. It could really.
I think so, bro. I think that guy is, dude. He's fucking lightning in a bottle, man. Like it's so hard to contain him. And what you mentioned before, Hector, I think is the biggest point to drive home. I'll be honest. I've already made my bracket, and I have LAFC and Houston in the Western Conference Final. And I think experience matters a lot. Recent playoff experience, and it doesn't get any more recent than the defending MLS champions. But I will say that I feel like there's one path for LAFC to get back to the MLS Cup final. That's Denny Bouanga. And, if that form falters anywhere, right? If he has an off game in a single elimination playoff match, anything can happen. Whereas I feel like the Dynamo, you said it yourself, the goals kind of come from everywhere. There isn't a tried and true goal scorer. You have playmakers behind that front line that know how to distribute, know how to find their teammates well, and a front line that right now seems to be finding the goals, but they can come from really anywhere. And so when you're game planning for the Dynamo, it makes it very, very difficult to figure out where you should add a little more help or pressure to kind of close things down, because they have so many options. Whereas I feel like Dynamo can really game plan for LAFC well. Bawanga, shut that dude down, and the likelihood of us winning this game goes through the roof, right? So, and then if you even look statistically at these two teams, bro, they're 1 point separating them on the standings. Even in the points per game, it's like 1.5 to 1.53. Like, they've had very similar seasons. They've just peaked at different times. And their home and away record is also relatively the same. There's probably a game difference between the two. Houston Dynamo are slightly better at home, and by one game, LAFC are slightly better on the road. So it could go either way. If it was a 2-leg matchup, maybe you favor LAFC's experience, but I don't know, man. Single elimination game with a team who's already won a cup this year and is coming in hot in the playoffs. This could be the Dynamo's year, man. You might have a good birthday coming up. We'll see.
Yeah, I kind of hope so. I mean, I need something to forget about what happened a couple days ago. So
yeah, I hear that, man. I hear that.
No, I do. I will say I do love Adolis Garcia, man. Ever since the guy came up with the Rangers, I was like, this dude's a freak of nature, and dude, I'm not even mad for him for pimping that home run. I would have done the same thing.
Yeah,
hit me with a baseball.
Bro,
I don't give
he
a
was.
It wasn't intentional.
Bro,
it wasn't intentional. I'm just gonna say that right
yeah,
there.
No, yeah, 100%. But like, bro, watching him last night, the dude was so fucking determined to like help the Rangers, on the road get this result, which is so weird, right? To see I don't go deep into MLB stuff here, but to see a playoff series that no team won their home matchups, like it's just.
Anything's possible.
I don't know. And then, anything's possible. And then, on the opposite side, to see a team win every playoff match or every road matchup in that series, win all of them, and not go on to win the series altogether is just kind of crazy too. So, I mean, but Garcia, bro, he won the MVP of the series for a reason. The guy just fucking clutch as hell. Him and Seager, absolutely over the moon about. But with that said, I'm still a little jaded from previous years. If you're a Rangers fan, you know that 2011, 2012 were some bottle jobs by us, couldn't close series out, and hopefully we don't repeat those mistakes. But yeah, man.
I think
hopefully
the
Dynamo will give you more to cheer about.
I think FC Dallas should take a page out of the Texas Rangers and listen to Creed for pregame.
Hey, bro.
Apparently it's worked.
If that's what it takes, yeah. It can be Creed, Nickelback, whatever it is, bro. Put it on the locker room. Let the boys vibe, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, man. So, all right. So that is the first round of the MLS playoffs. Hopefully we can bring Jose back when it comes to the next round in the playoffs, and maybe add some more people from GolzTV. Definitely would love to showcase these guys as well. But yeah, man, time to shamelessly plug yourself. Go off.
I appreciate it, bro. Hey, look, man, guys, if you haven't checked it out already, go check it out. Golz.tv, GOLZ, a unique spelling, GOLZ.tv. Like Hector already said, Hulu of television for soccer fans. I think whether you love, recaps of matches, match day vlogs, podcasts, trading card content, gaming with EAFC 24, anything in between, bro. There's kind of anything and everything for everybody. And really, really soon, I don't want to tease it too much if we haven't announced it yet, but very, very soon, we're announcing a partnership with the Pro League. There will be Pro League content coming to this platform. I won't announce the league just yet, but it is coming very soon. And we're hoping that this leads to more strategic relationships and just better content coming to the platform for this growing fan base here in America. So I'm super excited about it. The platform itself is also getting a ton more unique features. It's going to look a little bit different too moving forward. Looks pretty sexy now, in my opinion. Pretty damn sexy, actually. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. And look, we're going to be getting more GolzTV creators up on this show. I'd love to. I think for the next playoff matchup, bro, I want to come back because I think that there's some hot takes that I made on this episode today that maybe some fans will have receipts for, and I want to be able to answer those effectively. But I think that we could probably get some others on here too and just have a real debate over how we think the rest of the playoffs is going to work out. Like we've said a bunch of times on this episode today, brand new playoff format. In my opinion, never been a more exciting time to be a soccer fan on this side of the world. Let's support MLS, bro. Let's see how far some of these teams can really make it. And I know Hector and myself both have a team in this bracket, and we want to see how far they can go, man. So Hector, I can't thank you enough, bro. Thanks for having me on. And if you will have me on next week, I definitely want to be here.
Yeah, definitely, man. We'll definitely send you the invite once the first round is through. And yeah, so thank you so much. Make sure you guys check out GolzTV. We're gonna go ahead and take a break, and then you guys are gonna go and hear me and Edward share our thoughts on the U.S. men's national team's international break, our recap for that. So make sure you stay tuned.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at BellyUpSports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
And we're back. I want to give a big thank you to Jose Tellez, obviously, to come in and talk MLS with us. Make sure you guys check out GolzTV, man, Golz.tv. It's free to subscribe to. Check out all the great content that's going on over there at GolzTV, man. I literally can't preach enough about it, man. You can find us there as well as other great content creators. Especially if you're a big MLS fan and you're just not able to find content for your MLS club, GolzTV definitely has it there for you, man. And of course, check out their original shows like Wake Up MLS and Yanks of the Round Table, especially Yanks of the Round Table. There's I don't know his name actually, but I think he goes by Barca Boy. That dude is just a hot take machine. It is hilarious. I never agree with anything he says, but I love that he stands on his island and stands on that firmly. So I can admire that too. It's like, man, you are so wrong, but hey, you're making me believe. Like I still can't get over the fact that he said Vidic is better than Rio Ferdinand. Like I was just like, really? Once again, not a Manchester United fan, but I feel like that's a hot take. Maybe Edward can agree or disagree with that one.
I'm a bit on the fence on that one.
Everyone's like, I decline to speak on this matter.
What is it? I plead the fifth.
But all right. But all right, guys, the U.S. men's national team, another international break has happened. So now we can go ahead and look and tell you guys whether or not USA made us proud, or I am back on Greg Berhalter is on side watch. So we'll see how that works out. But all right, so you had two games, one against Germany and the other one against Ghana. USA ended up losing to Germany 3-1, where they had 40% of the possession in that game. US only had 6 shots, and 3 of those were on target, one of them being at the 27-minute mark by Christian Pulisic, which was a banger of a goal. And then after that, Germany proceeded to do what Germany does best, which is not be the terrible Germany under Hansi Flick. This was also the debut of Julian Nagelsmann as the new manager for Germany. And I mean, hey, they went off on all cylinders. In the 39th minute, a goal was scored by Edward's favorite German, Gundogan. He's not actually. It's obviously it's Marco Rose. But I'm pretty sure he's retired from Germany now. Fulkrug, which I will tell you guys, when I played FIFA, well, now EA Sports FC, but FIFA back in the day, this dude, I don't know how many times I used this guy on my FIFA career mode rebuilds. Especially when I did like Road to Glories. I don't know how many times I used Fulkrug. But man, that dude can. Okay, it's great to see that he's actually like playing for Germany, because usually he's one of those players that like comes down, like start when you first like find him, he's like at like a 65, 62 rated. And then next, as you develop him, he bumps up to like a high 80, almost 90 player. So at least the times that I've used them on career modes, I don't know if you've ever used Fulkrug. But yeah, so good to see, it's good to see that FIFA or EA Sports FC can be accurate with their predictions on some of these players.
I don't even have FIFA or what you call it, EA Sports or
No, but I mean,
yeah,
have you ever used them
EAFC.
at all? And Edward's favorite player to use in FIFA was Angus Gunn. It was this goalkeeper.
Oh yeah,
Edward
Angus Gunn,
always pulled him.
I managed to push him all the way up to, I think I got him up to like a 91
There's
because
always like
basically I made him my starting goalkeeper.
there's always like
He was a
one player.
79 overall, and then like in one season I managed to get him to 83.
There's always like one player in FIFA that everyone just like, oh, I'm gonna do a Road to Glory. Gotta buy this guy. Which my player personally, especially as a goalkeeper, was Jamal Blackman. That was his name.
I mean,
Legendary
I think
goalkeeper. I've won so many Champions Leagues with that guy. Thank you, Jamal.
wherever he may be in the designated,
I don't know
what do you
where he's
call
at
it?
now. I'm pretty
The
sure he's probably like in
designated
the lower
the
divisions.
designated area. The designated area.
Yeah. But yeah, so Fulcrum scores in the 58th minute, and then Musiala scores in the 61st minute, ending that game 3-1. And then in which obviously you guys remember my complete meltdown last episode when I had no faith in this US team. But in obviously the second match, which was against Ghana, it ended up being a 4-0 beating, which actually all the goals were happening in the first half. USA had 44% of the possession. USA had 13 shots, 8 of them were on target. Obviously the 4 goals, which came by Gio Reyna in the 10th minute and the 39th minute. And then Christian Pulisic scored in the 19th minute off a penalty, and Folarin Balogun scores in the 22nd minute in that game. So yeah, USA looked completely different in that game against Ghana. But things that I took away from this international break for the US is a tale of two halves. Wow, I typed that poorly. A tale of two halves, which basically the first half was actually pretty good performances from the U.S. men's national team. Because I mean, if you look at the first half for the Germany game, the first half ended 1-1. Obviously with the goal from Christian Pulisic, and then Gundogan responded. And then you could say the same thing with the Ghana game, because all 4 of the goals from this 4-0 victory were all in the first half, meaning that the adjustments that were done in the second half, maybe the tactics were a little bit different depending on the personnel, and then the second half they just, I guess you could say, just took their foot off the gas, and we got the results that we got. Because I honestly would say if the U.S. was still playing the way they were playing in the first half, especially in Ghana, this lead could have been probably a little bit more than just 4-0. I don't know about the Germany game, but I mean, to say if they were able to play with still those, with a little bit of an aggressive way, who to say that this league could have been completely different. So that's one thing I would say, is that tale of two halves. USA first half were very good. Second half was definitely, I wouldn't say disappointing, but very just like lacklustering would probably be the best way to describe the second half for the U.S. men's national team. The other thing I took away was that it featured a new formation for the U.S. men's national team. Normally, U.S., especially with Berhalter, they usually run a 4-3-3. And the 4-3-3, there's obviously a lot of different variations with the 4-3-3, but obviously the one more familiar with Greg Berhalter is that midfield, the 3-3. So obviously, if you guys don't know what a 4-3-3 is, obviously 4 being a back line of 4, the 3 being 3 midfielders, and then the top 3 was obviously striker and wingers. And for Greg Berhalter's variation of his 4-3-3, it would usually have 2, I would say, box-to-box type midfielders, kind of like an 8 type role, which, if you guys remember, usually you would see, especially during the World Cup in 2022, was Weston McKennie, Yunus Musa, and then you would have a 6, which defensive midfielder, which obviously was Tyler Adams. The only thing is with the 4-3-3, the way, at least the way Berhalter used it, because I mean, you can that three doesn't necessarily have to play in those specific roles, but I mean, the way Berhalter played, the one thing that a lot of people argued about with Berhalter's 4-3-3 is the lack of a 10. Now, for people that don't understand what the 10 role is, it's more of like a creative player, a guy that can kind of move up and help with the attack. And I'm not saying that these guys don't move up. It's just that, when you're playing, especially that A role, you kind of are that, you're helping out with the attack, but then you also have like that defensive quality. Whereas a number 10 is just pure creative. And I think many people can even say, I mean, props to tactical manager, Filippo. He's even said it, like, you do need essentially a destroyer, a 6, a box-to-box midfielder, which you could argue would be like a Musa or even a Weston McKennie. And then have that creative midfielder, a 10, which in most people's eyes would be Gio Reyna. But obviously with the formations that Greg Berhalter would use, he would usually use Reyna as a winger, not so much as a midfielder. So obviously the midfield you would then have would be having a 6 and 2 8s, which is what Musa and McKennie are playing in that role. So, I mean, you could say that kind of does take some creativity away from the midfield. And also the fact that you're playing Reyna in a position that he's not necessarily, I mean, obviously he's capable of playing on the wing, but he'd probably be more suitable playing in that 10 role, that attacking midfield position, because that's what he plays for Dortmund. Well, we're going to the 9th inning. But yeah, so that's the 4-3-3, what normally Berhalter uses. But the new formation, and it's not really that big of a change. I'm not gonna say it's a massive change, but just aside from the name of what it is, for Berhalter, the new formation that Berhalter featured, which was the 4-2-3-1 formation, and same thing, very similar to the 4-3-3. It's just probably a little bit different, but not too much. Which is obviously you still have that back line of 4. You have 2 8s, or maybe you can have one play a little bit more of a 6 role. But the thing that's different is obviously that 3, which is obviously still 2 players on the wings and a cam, and then obviously you have your striker up top. The reason why everyone was shocked by the 4-2-3-1 formation was because Greg Berhalter was using a cam, which is something that all the fans have been begging for long, is to see him use a cam. And the reason why is because we have a player that is a pure number 10, which is Gio Reyna. Gio Reyna plays the 10 better than anybody that we have in the U.S. system. The next one might be Malik Tillman. And we've been playing this guy out of position. We've been playing him on the wing. Once again, not saying that he's terrible on the wing, but let's face it, if you're almost argued to be a high-class player in a certain position, especially when you're healthy, it would be nice to play that guy in his position. And this is one of those things where the reason why I say, like, national team is different from club, because club, yes, you can get players based on your system, but with a national team, it's what you have. Your best players are your best players. Like, the position that they're in is the position that they play. So if you're trying to make a cam be a winger, yes, they can still be creative in that spot, but you're not using them up to their full potential. Whereas now you are now making a formation that best accommodates for what you have, which, once again, this is honestly, I'm someone that does like the 4-3-3. Edward can tell you, I love the 4-3-3 formation. Obviously I've been complaining about that for Real Madrid so far this season. But when you're talking about a national team, you need to have a system, a formation that best benefits your team. And you got, I mean, your backline pretty decent. And then, like, once again, going back to what tactical manager says, you need a box-to-box midfielder, a destroyer, which is obviously the 6, and then a creative player, a number 10. And in that midfield, you had, Musa playing that box-to-box midfielder, Johnny Cardoso, who was playing as that 6 or that destroyer, and then obviously Gio Reyna playing in that number 10. And when they did that in the Ghana game, that's why you had 4 goals in the first half, was being able to let Gio Reyna play in his best position, which is the 10 role. But yeah, so those were the things I took away from those 2 games. Edward, what do you have to say about my whole thing about the tale of 2 halves and the new introduction of the new formation? But we'll start with the tale of 2 halves. How did you feel about me explaining about how the U.S. was very good in the first half and then very just in the second half?
I mean, I'm going to be blunt here. Didn't catch the games, but I mean, I think we did talk about this off the air. I agree with you. I mean, I agree with how everything's going on right now, and I mean, personally, I'm just waiting to see if this team is going to be ready for the World Cup, which is up and coming soon. Dude, like 2020. Yeah, it's coming up actually. Yeah, next year, right? Oh, wait, the World Cup is coming up next year.
2026.
2026. My bad.
This summer will be Copa America and the Olympics.
Okay, so it's gonna be a good little powwow for them to try to see if this. I mean, like you, I'm a big fan of the 4-3-3 formation. You know that, especially with like how you explained it with the center attacking mid with the cam. Gio Reyna, perfect for that position. I'm still playing. You're playing what's it called, the EAFC 24, right?
Yeah,
the new one. I'm still playing FIFA 23. In FIFA 23, I started with Barca, and
wait
I
till
ended
Black
up getting
Friday
Gio
comes
Reyna.
in.
Yeah, right. That's pretty much it. But I ended up getting Gio Reyna for Barcelona, and he's like, okay, so I got 2 cams. So Phil Foden is my first cam, and then Gio Reyna is my secondary. But basically, I use Gio Reyna, like you said, either on the wing or as a center attacking mid. Mostly, I do use him as a left wing, but when I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and put in I ended up getting Messi, and he's gonna retire there. I'll go ahead and put Messi on the left wing sometimes, whatever, and then I'll change over Gio Reyna over to Cam, and just the way that even in the video game, it's like it's really a game changer. Like I feel like the Cam would be the perfect position for him in real life. And then, like you said, I mean, it's with the 4-3-3 formation. I think that's actually how it should be done. It's let's put it this way. For US, I think they've been with the 4-4-2 or what was their
not
usual
with
formation?
Berhalter. Berhalter's been using the
Berhalter
4-3-3.
yeah. So
The 4-3-3
with
with a
Berhalter,
pivot.
yeah. But that's the thing. It's like I feel like if they want to play, especially like with an attacking mentality, the 4-3-3 attacking, focusing more on attacking with the center attacking mid, would benefit them. And of course, the center mids would have to be going up and down, back and forth, to help defense and to also distribute the ball. But then you also have like Gio Reyna, he can do all that, and he can take on players. So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
along with that, I think with Balogun, because obviously with the 4-3-3, I think doesn't necessarily benefit to what Balogun plays, because I don't think Balogun is that, because obviously, you know, when Berhalter's 4-3-3, a lot of it comes from the wing. And obviously when you have players like Christian Pulisic and Timothy Weah, you definitely want to use that for the advantage. But I think with what Balogun could do, I don't necessarily think Balogun is necessarily an aerial threat. I'm not saying that he's not, but I think one of his best abilities is his ability with when the ball's on his feet. He is a little bit more of a creative player that can do some little chop moves, a little bit of a dribble, you know, gets Edward excited. And I think with the addition of Reyna as a cam, he can deliver the ball to Reyna in a more direct way to best benefit Balogun. Which, I mean, I feel like the highlights from the Ghana game, it was like the Gio Reyna Pulisic Balogun show. Like, it's literally how I felt when I was watching the highlights as well. Not only from watching the game, but watching the highlights as well. There's just there are big three, if you will, if big threes existed in football. But yeah, like I so like not only the fact that like, so this is where I'm like, man, maybe Berhalter has changed a little bit because he changed the formation. This man has always been preaching about his system. That's all we've been hearing from Berhalter for years now. Is all about his system. And now we finally see him making a change in his system, which is using a formation that would best benefit. And Edwards heard me say this before because I think Reyna could arguably surpass Pulisic one day. Your best player. I think when Reyna's on the field and when Reyna's playing at his best, I think the U.S. is a little bit more scarier of a team. More scarier. Is a scarier team than without him. And because I mean, at one point it's like, can Pulisic do it all? Not really. I mean, yeah, he comes up clutch for us plenty of times, but I think if you're able to add another thread, which I'm going to tell you, Gio Reyna can be that other thread, this team gets a lot more dangerous. And then once again, don't forget Timothy Weah's on the other side.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked so far what I saw from the U.S. And I think the other thing we should add, we are talking about friendlies. You know, like, did losing to Germany really hurt the U.S. by any means? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I will be honest with you. Where USA and Mexico are both ranked in the FIFA rankings makes no sense to me, because they should definitely be a lot lower. But losing to Germany, I mean, I don't know. Germany, since Hansi Flick left, Germany has looked a lot like the Germany that we know. So it's gonna be hard to beat teams like that. But I think if things are going in the way it's appearing, once again, we still got to see what this team can do when they see their first real opponent. No offense to any of the teams in CONCACAF, but like maybe Copa America is going to be that test, at least for us. But I believe the next international break, which will be CONCACAF Nations League matches, which I believe they're both going to be against Trinidad and Tobago. So that's going to happen. But I believe the following international break, there's only two teams that I think the U.S. can really have a friendly with, and I think they're both aiming at South America, because obviously in preparation to Copa America. And those teams are actually Argentina and Brazil. Once again, I don't know. I'm not making predictions here that we're gonna face off Argentina and Brazil in friendlies, but from what makes sense realistically, it could, if they're going to go and like we want to play against teams from South America, those are the two teams that are essentially available to do it. And that sounds like a pretty big test there for the U.S., especially if they're trying to get ready for Copa America.
Yeah.
They hit a home run, so that's cool.
11-4.
11-4. We're not going down without a fight. Just what now? What's that now? 9 runs? No, 7 runs. Just 7 runs to tie it. 7 runs, 8 runs, 8 runs to win it. Yeah, that's possible. You only got 1 inning to do it.
They're already at the top of the 9th or bottom of the 9th?
Bottom of the 9th. This is it. For
this
the whole
is basically
shebang.
where everybody has to.
Just everybody from here on out hit home runs. You know, that's possible. Anyone could do it. Sheesh. Yeah. All right. But yeah, so the players that were featured in these friendlies, Matt Turner for goalkeepers played in both games. Fullbacks, we saw Joe Scally in the Germany game. Sergino Dest played in both Germany and Ghana. I will say Sergino Dest looks like Sergino Dest again, and I am all for it. So I'm happy to see that. Christopher Lund played in the Ghana game. I'm really intrigued by Christopher Lund. I don't know what it is about him. I have no idea. It's not like he's anything. No offense. I don't see anything really special about him. That sounds so mean. But he's like a good depth piece, if that makes any sense to you. Or, especially because when we're talking about left back, right? Because I mean, the last times we've had like as far as like the fullback goes, like it's literally been Sergio Dez, Joe Scally, and DeAndre Yedlin, who all three play right back primarily, and then Anthony Robinson. So Anthony Robinson has been getting burnt out every tournament that we've gone because he has to play every single game because he's literally the only left back. I think Christopher Lund, if that adds another, at least someone that can actually play on the left side. So I think if we see a little bit more from him, I think that's like a benefit to having a player like Christopher Lund. So I'm a little bit intrigued. I don't know if he's like starter capable, but I think someone to come in and help, like, when Anthony Robinson is definitely going to be burnt out because we use that man. we run him down, and I feel really bad for him. But I also admire his moxie.
Well, you're not wrong. So I mean, again, I'm gonna agree with you on that one.
Obviously, Edward's not a defensive guy. Center backs, we saw Chris Richards play both in Germany and Ghana. Cameron Carter-Vickers came in the second half in both Germany and Ghana. Actually, for Chris Richards, we saw Tim Ream play in Germany, in the Germany game, and then Miles Robinson played in the Ghana game. Yeah, I mean, obviously Walker Zimmerman had his eyes focused on MLS, because they're trying to get, obviously Nashville's trying to get an MLS Cup playoff spot. So I think maybe his attention was more towards that. Though I also think he just had a baby. I don't know how recent the baby was though. Don't get me on that one. But yeah, I think it's more and more. I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Richards and Cameron Carter-Vickers become like our future center back pairing. These guys are playing, and that's always a good thing. Tim Ream, man, I feel like this guy's just found the fountain of youth. It's like this dude's old, but he's still like he's sturdy, man. I like him. I like Tim Ream. I used to not like Tim Ream at all, not like him at all. But like now he's growing on me. Maybe it's because I'm old too, so now I'm like, show those young guys how it's done. And then obviously Miles Robinson. It's great to see Miles Robinson back with the U.S. The midfield, we saw Yunus Musa play both games against Germany and Ghana. Gio Reyna, I'm just gonna always be talking highly about Gio Reyna. I love that guy. Germany and Ghana. I wonder when he's gonna make his big move. Maybe Manchester United wants to do a player swap for Jadon Sancho because that fell apart. Maybe Jadon Sancho needs to go back to Borussia Dortmund, find his groove back. Luca Del Torre as well played in both games. Weston McKennie played in both games. Johnny Cardoso played also in both games. Honestly, I want to see more of Johnny Cardoso. This kid is really good. I like him as a 6. And I mean, with the way Tyler Adams' health has been lately, wouldn't be that bad of an idea to start seeing this kid play more for the U.S. men's national team. So yeah, I like what I'm seeing from Johnny Cardoso. Leonard Maloney, man. I don't really get much of a good look of him. I'm still not sure, but I mean, he played, so we got him. He's locked in for the U.S. So that's all. I guess the only positive to say. But he did come in the Ghana game. The wingers, I mean, Christian Pulisic played in both games. We saw Kevin Paredes play in the Germany game. Timothy Weah, obviously being a problem as he always is. I love that. Obviously, everybody knows I've been Team Tim Weah since day one. So I'm always glad that he keeps showing out. And of course, Brendan Aronson playing in both Germany and Ghana. I've been trying to figure out what Brendan Aronson is for the longest, Edward, because I just didn't know exactly what kind of is he a starter? Is he a for sure winger? Is he a cam? And now I kind of figured out what his role would be for the U.S. Now, this is going to sound a little disrespectful, and this is coming from a guy that really likes Brendan Aronson.
Mm-hmm.
but he's not particularly like elite in anything, but he has like a tremendous work rate. Like he's good enough to play in Europe. I'm not saying that he's not, but if you were to tell me like what position he's elite in, I can't tell you what exactly. I don't think he's an elite winger, and I don't necessarily think he's an elite number 10. But when he goes in, you best believe he's gonna put his 100% in there and then some. So like, which for me, that's like the perfect depth player. It's just a guy with a high work rate. You know, when you put him out there, he's gonna give you his all. Once again, this isn't like a jab at Brendan Aronson by no means. I think he's still an amazing player. There's players that are not necessarily particularly like elite in their position, but because of their work rate is the reason why they are playing in the top. Perfect example is Danny Carvajal. Is he the best right back in the world? Hell no. But does that man have a high work rate? You bet that dude's in every play. Every play. The dude literally scored a header and a corner kick. If you would have told me who's scoring off of a corner kick and a header, like I would have probably told you, Rudiger, David Alaba, Jude Bellingham. I would have never thought we were going to say 5'8" Danny Carvajal was going to score the header to tie the game against Sevilla. But that's his work rate. The guy puts himself in the best situation possible. So like that's just, and once again, there's no jab at saying a player's. I'm not saying they're terrible. They're just are they literally the best in the world? No, but the fact that they work hard is why they are where they are. There's a ton of players that are like that are just not particularly special at anything, but because their high work rate is why they are in the positions that they're in. And Brendan Aronson, I feel like, belongs in that category.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't say too much. Like I said, you have more knowledge of the U.S. men's national team. I'm gonna agree with you on this one.
Yeah, all right, that's fair. And of course, the forwards, which was I always mess up with his name. Folarin Balogun that played both in Germany and Ghana, and of course Ricardo Pepi, who played in both Germany and Ghana games. Obviously, Balogun scored in the Ghana game, did not score in the Germany game. Pepi did not score at all. I think that this is our at least our strikers from here on out. Maybe add another striker. But I think that these are the two guys that the US are gonna roll with. I think the 4-2-3-1 formation is gonna benefit both these guys because I think Pepi can do it all. I'm still gonna be I'm still more of a Pepi guy than Balogun, but I see the talent with Balogun. And the Texas Rangers are going to the World Series.
They won already?
Yep, it is. It's over. It's over. Yep. So there goes the Astro season. Still proud of my boys. Don't worry about it. I'm not mad in any way. I'm just after we record this episode, I'm just gonna cry myself to sleep. But yeah, Balogun. I think Balogun and Pepi, those are the two guys they're gonna be running with. We might see maybe some different players every once in a while, especially when it comes to friendlies. But I think this is going to be the guys as long as they're healthy. I think these are the guys that we're going to be seeing for the U.S. For many call-ups to come. But players that did not play at all, which I don't think there's anything to worry about. But there were 3 players that did not play in this call-up, which was Ethan Horvath, goalkeeper. I mean, unfortunately, Ethan Horvath is not playing at Nottingham Forest. I don't even think he's the number 2 goalkeeper. Obviously, Matt Turner is the number 1 goalkeeper for Nottingham Forest. I could be wrong on that. I think they brought in another goalkeeper. But shut up, ESPN. But yeah, so Ethan Horvath didn't play, but obviously he's the backup goalkeeper. He's not going to play. Alejandro Zendejas, he did not play as well. He also could play on the wing. I don't think that that's necessarily anything to be worried about with Zendejas. I think they just want to see a little bit more about Paredes. Once again, we're talking about friendlies. I think we all know what we're getting from Zendejas. So I don't think that Zendeja. I don't think anybody should be worried about Zendeja's like as far as where he is with the team. But I mean, obviously Kevin Paredes, he's playing over in Germany with Wolfsburg. I think the club. I think not the club. I think Berhalter just wants to see a little bit more from Paredes. Wants to see what this kid's all about. Might be a player that we'll see playing in the Olympics. So I think that's maybe the reason. So, and there's also another U.S. camp that's actually currently going on for the Pan American Games. But obviously I think that's Olympics. That's Olympic, not necessarily U.S. men's national team, but obviously most of them play for the U.S. men's national team. But I would say maybe Kevin Paredes might be one of those guys that we'll see in the Olympics and not with for Copa America. But obviously, I think Berhalter still wants to see what this kid's capable of. And the other guy was DeJuan Jones. He was a fullback from New England Revolution. I'll be honest with you, Edward, I am not really high on this kid. I'm really not. I don't necessarily see what everybody else sees in him. But then again, there's not a lot of fullbacks I can think off the top of my head that are American that I can say, yeah, let's bring him in. So I think he's just, once again, probably one of the guys that benefited from Anthony Robinson not being available for the call-up. Because like I said, I think Berhalter's a little bit more intrigued by Lund. Obviously, Lund played. DeJuan Jones didn't. So I think that if Anthony Robinson was here, I think this would be a different I don't think DeJuan Jones would have been featured on this roster at all, which would have been very interesting because then there would only be one MLS guy on this roster in total. But yeah, aside from the results of the games, I think all in all, there's a lot of positive to take from them. It's once again, they're friendly, so maybe take it with like a grain of salt. It's gonna be we won't really know what this team is really capable of once we're in like an actual like legitimate competition, which will be the next call up, which will be playing against Trinidad and Tobago. Say for what you want about that matchup, but that is gonna be at least a legitimate competition. Once again, whatever you want to believe in the Nations League, but yeah. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of positive to take from it. I think the fact that we saw a new formation in this one makes me think that hopefully we might see some more different formations. Maybe we see a back three. I don't know, but I definitely think that the U.S. definitely needs to consider different formations because every match is going to be different, right?
Yeah.
And friendlies is the best place to be trying out different formations and trying out different players. So, and this is a big summer. This is a real big summer because you have Copa America and you have the Olympics. So this is big for U.S. I still think that there's a lot of because this team is still pretty young. I know a lot of people don't realize that, but there's gonna be some of these guys I believe are gonna want to play in the Olympics, and actually play both in Copa America and Olympics, and I think that's gonna be big for Berhalter to see how he's gonna handle that, because there's gonna be a few guys that are gonna want to play in both.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, all in all, I think aside from me being mad about the Germany game, once again, that was an overreaction. But still, nonetheless, I think it was a pretty good call up. Makes me hope for more. So, congrats, Berhalter. You gave me hope. So we'll see how that stays with me. All right. Players of the Week, Edward. Players of the Week is brought to you by In the Clutch. In the Clutch is an amazing apparel company with amazing shirts designs that are all partnered with the players associations of Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, National Basketball Association, the National Football League, and so much more. They have amazing designs. Obviously, I mean, maybe right now it's gonna hurt me right now, but I'm an Astros fan. They have some amazing designs for the Houston Astros. They've been making a lot of killer designs right now for the MLB playoffs. Probably not so much for the Astros. But I will. Okay, so Edward, fun fact. Maybe depending on how you feel about the Rangers right now, but so the Rangers, so they were going to win the AL West. They were on the trajectory as long as they keep winning their games, keep winning their series. They were going to win the AL West. They went down to Dookie near the end of the season, so that's why the Astros ended up winning the AL West. Right. And so the Rangers, decided that they needed to change things up, do something different to get the morale going. So they decided to play in the clubhouse Higher by Creed.
Oh,
So they've been doing this. They've been listening to Higher by Creed every single game. And since then, they've been going on the run. So you know what? Now it all makes sense. Not only were we playing against a very talented Rangers team, but we also had to go up against God. And so, you know what? If anything, that makes me feel a little bit better. You know, they needed God to win this series. So it was also pretty cool because Scott Stapp and Creed actually went to a Rangers game. They're all in the Rangers gear and everything. It was hilarious. But yeah, In the Clutch made a really cool shirt that actually says "Come and take me higher." If it wasn't for the fact that the Rangers are now a rival, I'm gonna say it now. It's a rivalry now. I would get that shirt because it is awesome. I love that backstory. I don't know, like, and never can tell you. I'm not for someone that has had to watch shitty baseball from the Astros for so long. I've had to just enjoy baseball. So I've been watching like all these teams. So there's like, even though I hate the Anaheim Angels, I still like players in Anaheim Angels. So I would still watch them. I would still watch the Angels play, even though I allegedly don't like this team. So I would rock the hell out of that shirt, but obviously now it's like kind of like fresh wounds and all that stuff. So I kind of don't want to, but yeah, they have really sick, awesome shirt designs. And the best part of it all, man, all these designs go directly to the player that shirt is being made for. Which obviously once again it goes to the players associations. So, you know, especially if there's a player that you like right now in baseball or in basketball or in any sport, and if you see their design on the shirt, it's gonna make you feel so much more cooler. The fact that not only are you getting a shirt that you really like, that feels amazing because it's super comfortable, the material is very comfortable, and it fits very nicely. It has passed the Fat Boy test by Kelsey Coyne of Hilo Sports. Great quote by him. And not only that, but once again, it goes to the Players Association, so you'll be supporting directly that player. So if you guys want something even better, along with helping out your fellow Players Associations, if you guys use the code InsertName at checkout, you'll save yourself 10% off your entire purchase. Once again, if you use the code InsertName at checkout at intheclutch.com, you'll save yourself 10% off your entire purchase. So thank you to In the Clutch for being the presenting partner of Players of the Week. Edward, who's your Player of the Week?
all right. So my player of the week, and I actually have to go with an ex-Barcelona player who's now playing in Atlético Madrid, Antoine Griezmann, who scored a hat trick in the win against Celta Vigo. I mean, he played his game. He played his game.
Maybe he listened to Creed.
Maybe he did. He was like, he listened to Creed in French.
I'm not gonna try that.
I was about to say, I was like, try it. Here's
Si
a
vous
little
plaît,
tidbit.
me.
Here's a little tidbit. Hector does a great impersonation of this song.
Let me see if I could Google Translate Higher by Creed.
Oh God.
I'll just do the chorus.
So Hector does a very good Creed impersonation. Higher is one of the songs, and Arms Wide Open is the other song that Hector can actually do really, really well. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who can vouch for this. I want to say maybe Felix or David can vouch for that.
I don't know if I did my personally. Let me see. Okay, French. Let me see if this is gonna go so well. Okay, I have been trying to learn French. I've been using Duolingo, so obviously not still up to there yet.
Here we go.
This is so
Here
bad.
We go. Come on.
I'm sorry for all the people in France. Pas tu m'aimer, Ploha. Okay, that's gonna go bad. All right, that's it. That's Can You Take Me Higher? That's how you say Can You Take Me Higher in French. I apologize to the country of France for butchering your language, even though I speak a Romance language as well. But yeah, Antoine Griezmann, hell of a performance. Obviously, hat tricks get you an automatic selection for Players of the Week. So good pick there, Edward. And of course, it's a player you love in Antoine Griezmann.
Yep. And who's your Player of the Week?
My players, I'm going to the Premier League. I got Mohamed Salah, who scored 2 goals in Liverpool's 2-0 victory against Everton. Yeah, speaking of something that's not a rivalry, Liverpool and Everton. I understand the beef. Obviously, they're both inside the same. They both play in the same city, but Jesus Christ, this is just a lopsided affair at this point, I think. But hey, Mohamed Salah, man, great to bring him back on this list. Very solid performance. Yeah. So, congratulations to Antoine Griezmann and Mohamed Salah for being our Players of the Week. I'm sure you guys were jamming to some Creed before these games. But if you guys want to, once again, thank you to In the Clutch for being the presenting partner of this portion of the show. Once again, go to intheclutch.com, use that code InsertName at checkout, and save yourself 10% off your purchase. I'm telling you, man, you're gonna love these designs. There's so many cool designs, man. There's actually a really awesome design that they did with the Phillies. Nick Castellanos, I believe it's his son Liam. He made this shirt, he drew his dad or drew himself, and then on the headband was like some Phillies players. And so the awesome thing that In the Clutch did was that they put that on a shirt. So that is going direct, and that once again goes directly to Nick Castellanos and his family. So obviously amazing things that they're doing with In the Clutch. So if you guys want to support that, once again, use the code InsertName at checkout, save yourself 10% off your purchase. All right, man. So big games coming up this weekend, Edward. Not before we mention the leagues that we normally talk about. The other leagues that are going on, Atletico MG and Fluminense are playing over in Brazil. It's a really good matchup. Both of them doing really well right now in Brazil. There's actually going to be another Brazilian matchup, and that's Flamengo taking on Red Bull Bragantino, also in Brazil. That's right. Red Bull also owns a team in Brazil. So,
damn.
Also, I want to take this time to say fuck Max Verstappen. He won the Austin Grand Prix. I'm just getting tired of Max Verstappen winning, man. I'm really good. Damn. I'm just getting annoyed at this guy now. Also, probably because I'm a Checo Perez guy too. So, so that's probably it too. PSV Eindhoven is taking on Ajax. Ajax is cheeks right now. God, they're playing so bad right now. My God,
they're not playing like the Ajax we're used to know, huh?
No, they aren't. Now they're just somebody that I used to know at this point. I'm sure some people will get that.
Yeah. And I mean, Spence could play that little chorus in the background. As soon as you said that'd be nice.
I mean, I edit these shows now, but yeah, I'll try. All right. In Belgium, we have Club Bruges taking on Antwerp over in Belgium. Another good matchup. 2 good teams right now in Belgium. And FC Lugano taking on Young Boys over at Switzerland. Once again, some really big teams. Maybe some deciding factors of where they're going to fall in line in their respective title races. So make sure, if you guys are able to go watch them, go watch them. I think they're going to be some really good matchups. I believe you can watch the Eredivisie in ESPN Plus. So if you have ESPN Plus, you could definitely watch the Eredivisie matches. So you can watch PSV. Maybe Ajax can figure it out in that game. I don't know, but it's gonna be hard because you got Pepe and Chucky Lozano. It is crazy to think that Chucky Lozano is back with PSV. Like it to me that is just insane.
Well, I mean, he played good. It's just yeah.
No, I get that, but it's weird to me. Like I thought that maybe he would go to like the Prem or maybe go to La Liga. Nah, he's like, I'm going back to the Eredivisie. So it's an interesting move to me. I mean, I think he still has so much potential. And obviously we did also hear about the potential that he was going to the MLS too, which I thought that was kind of weird too. But yeah.
Maybe he's gonna be well, I don't think he'd be like Messi's like he'd be in Messi's place. You know what I mean?
No, I think the rumor would have been at LAFC, kind of be like that replacement for Carlos Vela.
Yeah.
But speaking of Major League Soccer, man, round 1 of the MLS playoffs, man. The first round, a little weird, but hey, MLS likes to do things weird. It is going to be the best of 3 series in the first round of the MLS playoffs. So, we'll see who can take advantage of that new rule. Well, and maybe if we like this new rule, because MLS has definitely been changing their playoff format multiple times now. I don't know how many times I've had to explain the playoff system for MLS at this point. So we'll see. Maybe we'll like it. Maybe we won't. Who knows? In Liga MX, we got Chivas taking on Tigres and Monterrey taking on America. So battle for some great positioning, because obviously Liga MX playoffs is also around the corner. So we'll see how the battle goes to get a good position in Liga MX. Also, their playoff format has changed as well. So it's not what it used to be. In Ligue 1, there's actually 3 really good matches. We have Brest taking on PSG, Lille taking on Monaco, and Marseille taking on Lyon, who has yet to have recorded a victory so far.
Damn.
Yep. I could be wrong on that. I don't know. Like the last time I saw Lyon, they didn't have a single win. So not looking good. Maybe they get relegated. Maybe I should do a jersey bet. No. No.
Every time you do a jersey bet, it tends to go wrong for you.
I mean, I got the Messi one right.
Yeah, you did.
Nah, I'm not gonna do it. No, I'm not gonna do it for Ligue 1. All right, Bundesliga, VfB Stuttgart taking on Hoffenheim, and not necessarily a great matchup, but Frankfurt always ends up. Frankfurt always seems to be like a tough matchup, and they'll be taking on Borussia Dortmund, but not necessarily the best season so far for Frankfurt.
Yeah, they've been iffy. They've been iffy.
Yeah, definitely. In the Serie A, we have Napoli taking on AC Milan. That's going to be a big heavyweight matchup, right there in the Serie A. And then Inter Milan taking on Roma. There's some rumors that Jose Mourinho might be leaving Roma. So has nature ran its course? I believe so. Never forget that. Well, if he leaves Roma, we'll do a will you remember, like a whole little segment of just remembering all the great things that we can think of his time in Roma. So we'll definitely do that. I'm sure no one will mention that awkward marriage proposal that we had to all see, which was my fault because I shared it to everybody.
Yeah, you're the one that told everybody.
Bro, I felt uncomfortable and I wasn't even in that.
You would have been uncomfortable if it was yours.
Oh man, dude, that I hope that marriage is working out. I really do. In La Liga, we obviously Athletic Club Bilbao taking on Valencia, and of course it's El Clasico weekend. Edward, go fuck yourself, as Barcelona takes on Real Madrid.
Wow. Okay.
Also,
hostile.
So Edward and Spencer both ended up getting 3 points this past weekend from the Juventus AC Milan game. So Edward got his first victory, and yeah. So Edward has only had 2 matches so far in the singing bet table. It's been mostly me and Spencer that have been facing off each other.
Yeah, I think my matches are gonna end up coming in like late in the season.
But yeah, so Edward's having his first one. I guess not his first solo one, but Edward's having another one as me and him are going face to face for Barcelona and Real Madrid in El Clasico. In the English Premier League, we have Crystal Palace taking on Tottenham. Not necessarily a sexy matchup, but the real sexy matchup here is the Battle of Manchester. Will Manchester be red or will it be baby blue? And also another singing bet on the line for Edward, as he will also be facing off against Spencer in the English Premier League side. So Edward has a potential 6-point opportunity to put him in a very
6-point debacle.
To potentially put him on top of the table. Edward isn't currently at the bottom of the table, but that's only because he hasn't been in any matches so much so far, whereas me and Spencer have already had 4 matches. 4 matches against each other. Well, have already been in 4 matches. So Edward's could possibly get 6 points, or could get in a really fucked situation very early in the singing bet table.
I'm gonna tell you something. With Manchester United, I feel like I'm gonna get fucked.
But in Barcelona, I gotta say one thing about Barcelona.
I have a little hope, but
can y'all chill out with the young players? Like, Jesus Christ, y'all over here like, Google and goggling for that Yamil kid, and now you got another one. Like, Jesus Christ, like, okay, so apparently La Masia is back.
That's exactly what we need, though.
It's like everything ever. Once again, could I at least have one more bad season of Barcelona? Could I just get one more, like, before I had to like start dealing with Barcelona again? It was like I only got like one bad year of Barcelona,
and that was like when Lewandowski just barely showed up.
I'm literally that meme of Wolverine just looking at a picture of what was the Dutch guy? What was his name?
Oh,
man, I was trolling that guy so hard.
The Dutch guy.
The manager before Xavi.
It wasn't. It wasn't Van Gaal.
No, he didn't manage Barcelona.
Yeah, no.
Ronald Koeman.
Koeman, that's right.
Yeah, I'm literally that meme of like Wolverine just looking at a picture of Ronald Koeman.
You're like, I miss when Barcelona was bad.
I really do miss Barcelona when they were bad.
Bro, I don't know what it is, like, but their young talent's starting to show up. So that's good,
Jesus
though.
Christ. Man, how many
more
awesome videos of just girls just slipping their numbers to these young guys are we gonna see?
Bro, I think you know what it is.
That's literally the reason why Pedri and Gavi are like my favorite players right now.
No, but the thing is, I think that's what it is. I think Pedri and Gavi have been setting the limit of what you should be able to do when you come out of La Masia. Because I mean, that's literally what they did. And I mean,
because Ansu Fati, like there was a lot of promise from him, but obviously it didn't pan out. I think mainly because of injuries. Props to him. He scored a goal against Manchester City when he was playing with Brighton, but obviously they still lost. But he needs to get his confidence back, and then we'll see what happens there. But yeah, big matches this week, and obviously when you have El Clasico and the Manchester Derby, but I'm sure Edward right now doesn't necessarily feel like it's rivalry right now. But yeah, so there's a lot of matches going on, obviously. But if you guys want a little helper's guide, if you will, a little beginner's guide into football, well, there you go. Those are some really good matches. So we're going to go ahead and take one more break, and then we'll get going with our new segment of Little Reading from Reddit. Let me tell you guys about BellyUpSports. BellyUpSports is the internet sports bar. Go ahead and check out their website, www.bellyupsports.com, to read some great articles from great writers all across the country, from hockey, baseball, golf, soccer, you name it. BellyUpSports is the premier, not your average website. And we're back. So we're going to have a Reddit reading. If anybody wants to send me an interesting, I don't know what's it called in Reddit, a post from Reddit, and you want us to like share it here, we'll do that, whenever.
Now, is there any rules of the Reddit?
What do you mean?
Just for our listeners, like, If they want to share a post from Reddit.
anything that's borderline stupid, I mean, I'm all for it. If it makes me laugh, I'll definitely do it. But yeah. So I've been seeing a trend with a lot of podcasts that they've been doing these Am I the Asshole segments. So I decided that was going to be one of the first reads that we would do. And so here is the title, Edward. Am I the asshole for refusing to go to my best friend's wedding after he asked me to be his best man because he didn't invite my girlfriend to the ceremony?
What the hell?
Keywords are important here. All right. Here comes. One of my best friends. Is he your best friend or one of your best friends? You can't just say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That just ruined your argument there. So is he your best friend? Has recently got engaged to his girlfriend of 4 years. They will be getting married next year, and I was over the moon for them, as you should. A few days ago, he asked me to be his best man and I said yes. I never have considered saying no, but yesterday official invites were handed out, and my girlfriend was only granted an evening invitation. Okay, so she was only invited to the reception. So she wasn't invited to the church thing, which I mean, I'll be honest with you, no offense, Edward, but I'd rather not go to the ceremony. I'd rather just go to the reception. But that's just me. That's me.
If anything, you're gonna start the reception pretty fucking early.
Exactly. I mean, but yeah. So okay, but so she was invited. She was invited to the wedding. She just wasn't invited to the ceremony. She was invited to the reception. They said that they were only allowed 50 people to the ceremony and 100 to the evening, and any additional seats will cost them money. I mean, weddings are expensive. If it were a case of the pair of them having huge pools of family and friends and they had to make a cut, I wouldn't feel angry about it, but they both have very small families. And then I found out that the people they met online playing video games have been invited to the day. And not only that, but their partners have also been invited. It just feels like a bit of a slap to the face, being the best man and not being allowed one space. Hey man, your squad on Call of Duty or Fortnite or wherever the hell y'all playing, like, hey man, that's deep. Also, yeah. I mean, do they just know them through playing video games, or do they also hang out in other settings? I mean, like, I don't know. I'm really not liking the writer of this story, because you know
he seems petty.
We don't see the other side. Exactly. I'm not seeing the. Obviously, we don't know the other side. But like, you know, like you're gonna devalue these people like, oh, they're just the people they play with online in video games. I mean, Edward plays with a lot of people online. He also hangs out with some of them. So I mean, like,
yeah, like Josh and Juice. I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but they're also my bros.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's you know, like you're my brother, and then these dudes are my bros. So yeah.
I mean, I also have David and Felix, though.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, it's just little things here and there.
I also think that this guy doesn't realize that this ain't his wedding. Also, I just want to point that out.
Well, for one, if it's his best friend's wedding and his best friend's the dude, the groom,
one of his best friends,
he's.
No, I get what you mean. I get what you're saying.
He's not gonna be able to bring anybody that he wants, because more than likely the bride to be was the one that decided, hey, this girl can't come over for some reason. Exactly. I don't know why. I don't know.
Let's get to the bottom of this. All right. The bride has often said that she doesn't like new people in her life, and my girlfriend has very rarely been invited to social events at their house. Okay, well, that makes a lot more sense. Though when she first started seeing my friend, I made sure she was invited to everything we did from day one. I've been with my girlfriend for 6 months, and by the time the wedding comes, it'll be pushing 2 years.
Wait, what?
Okay, wait a minute. So
hold on. They're getting married next year, right?
I've been with my girlfriend for 6 months, and by the time the wedding comes, it'll be pushing 2 years.
So is he saying that it's gonna be a year?
Okay, so wait, are you currently been with this girl for 6 months? Okay, well that just throws everything out of the table. If you've been with this person for months, I don't care that you're gonna Dang, that's a long engagement. But hey, they're probably saving up. But like, yeah, I mean, like you've only been like, no offense, 6 months that's not a year. So I mean, like, I'm sure that's an achievement for you. Maybe. I mean, it seems like you're pretty petty. I don't know how long your relationships have been, but
Dear God.
but like, okay, so yeah, you guys been together for 6 months. I mean, that can also be the argument. Like, do I want this girl in pictures if this doesn't work out? Also, 2 years. That's a pretty big like. Yeah, things are gonna keep working out by then. You know.
I mean, I'll give him this. He's hopeful.
Oh yeah, I'll props to him on that one. But anyways, I ended up telling my friend that not only would I be pulling out of being his best man, okay, that's fucking petty, but I wouldn't be going to the wedding, and it's safe to say he wasn't best pleased. Well, no shit. He tried to explain it rationally with there not being space for her, but I stuck to my guns. I know this may make me the asshole because I'm throwing away years of friendship for something that likely wasn't a huge consideration for them. There just wasn't enough space. But knowing how this had made me feel, I don't think I'm capable of giving a nice speech during the day. Yeah, you're the asshole. I'm sorry, you're the asshole.
Yeah, I don't agree with it.
At the end of the day, you're not the one getting married. Like the invitation list, and once again, she's not. It's not that she's not invited. She's going to the She's invited to the reception. And to be fair, I would much rather go to the reception than to the ceremony. You gotta, depending on where the ceremony is at, most likely in a church, I'm assuming. No offense, I'm just not very religious. But honestly, the ceremony it feels like an eternity. Actually, Edward, he went to a wedding recently.
Yeah.
The ceremony just takes forever, man. I'm like, and like, I mean, unless you're in the wedding, it's pretty much a drag. Like, I'm sorry, like, to me, it's not fun. Like, unless it's the wedding, and I've seen a lot more weddings now where the wedding is also the ceremony is also in the same place where the reception is, which I think is a little bit more convenient. But like, yeah, I think I would much rather be at the reception. Like, okay, all right, yeah, y'all do y'all's vows. I'll catch y'all at the reception. Like, at least that's me.
Yeah.
At least that's my part. But yeah, this dude's definitely the asshole. It's not your call, man. Like, it's not like at the end of the day, she still got invited. She just didn't get invited to the ceremony. I'm sure she might be just pleased for just going to the ceremony. She didn't know that invited to the reception. I'm sure she didn't know that she wasn't getting invited to the ceremony. But I think dude needs to get off his high horse. There was an update to this though, by the way, Edward.
Oh, was there?
Yeah. So I guess like people went on him though. So he's like, so here's the update. Thanks for the response below. I appreciate it. Seems I'm blowing things out of proportion for a day that isn't about me. See? I will do what I can to rectify this with my mate. In the heat of the moment, it just felt like a more personal slight. One thing, how is that a personal slight? It's not your fucking wedding. One thing of the responses make clear is that I didn't make it well known that I've been friends with both the bride and groom for the duration of their relationship, and due to their joint at the hip nature and the nature of our friendship group, people's partners have usually been welcomed with open arms to everything. As I said in my above post, I did everything I could to make the bride feel comfortable in the group when she was first introduced, and we consider each other good friends. The point of contention with me is more so that if we were together in a year's time when the wedding rolls around, okay, so so they're only been together for 6 months, and he's
speaking hypotheticals right now.
Yeah. When the wedding rolls around, I'd like to think that she was established in the group. I wouldn't dream of not asking my best friend's partner to the most important day of my life. We're all a tight-knit group of friends and see each other regularly, partners and all. It's just that my partner doesn't get an invite when it comes to social events hosted by the bride and groom. I know for a fact if the roles were reversed and she wasn't invited to my wedding, there would be hell to pay, because there have been instances where I've invited my friend without his girlfriend for lads' night out, and she's kicked off. I'm assuming these people are British.
Could be.
yeah, but I think it's okay. I don't. Okay, the whole like not including the girlfriend. I mean, 6 months. I think that's pretty serious at that point. So I mean, I would say like, yeah, bring her over. I don't necessarily think that's the. I think that's kind of like a red flag. But like, once again, like you're talking about a wedding that's not going to happen until like a year.
Yeah.
Or a year and a half, since you're saying that you guys would basically be together for 2 years.
Let me put this scenario too, because I just thought about this right now. What if this was the best friend's wife or bride to be or whatever way of saying, hey, like, I don't think that your best friend's gonna last with this girl. So how about we just invite her to
The reception.
to the reception. Like just that.
That's like it's like the How I Met Your Mother. When what was
When
it?
Ted would take anybody basically
Yeah,
to
like I
the
mean, like
to the meetings
like to
or
the
to the
big
gathering.
moments. Yeah, and like now, what was the character's name? Lily. Lily has like this whole
Right.
photo album of Ted with just a random girl, and it's
Yeah.
like. And it is awkward because, like, say if you were ever, when you get older, you want to like go through that photo albums and reminisce. I mean, it would be kind of hilarious to poke fun of the guy, like,
I've
Jesus
never
Christ, man, figure it out or
full
something.
full disclosure, I've never brought a random girl around Hector. They've always been like a potential somebody. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, if you think about it, never have I brought a girl that I'm talking to that I'm like, oh, okay,
it's
like,
like for
yeah.
instance, kind of whatever we're saying. Like, there's only in like my family photo albums right now. There's only like one girl that I've been with that's in those photos. Is it kind of
Mm-hmm.
awkward? Well, because of how the relationship ended, that's the only reason why it's awkward. But but aside from that, like it's not, because I was with the person I was with, it actually got pretty serious. I mean, she met my mom and everything. There was another person I dated. It was kind of an accident that she met my mom. But that's neither here or there. But Edward makes the same. But I'm with the bride. Like how do we guarantee that she actually is going to be there? We're talking about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think or maybe by the time they updated this, it was a year now. But yeah, like I'm with the bride. I think the bride is actually, she's not inviting her. Like she's just like, okay, you can come to the reception, just she can't come to the ceremony. Which once again, my argument is that if I'm not in the wedding, I'd rather just not go to the ceremony. So like the only reason why you go to the ceremony is either you're in the wedding, either you're like a groomsman or a bridesmaid, or obviously you're the bride or the groom, or you're the pastor, or your family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Family and like close loved ones. Like I don't want to be. Like, that's not where you invite the guy that you hang out, like your work bestie. Like you only see that guy at work. Like, hey, yeah, come see me, come watch me get married. Like I don't know about that. But the ceremony, like the reception, I think that's fair game. Like that's like where the fun is going on. Everybody's happy. Everybody's drinking. Everybody's eating good food. The bride and groom never get to eat at all the whole time, which is kind of funny because they're getting yanked around to take pictures. But yeah, like I think the bride's doing anything more the girl more of a service, because one, it avoids the awkwardness of like all the ceremony photos of all the group photos from the ceremony of her being in there, and then what happens if things don't work out? Now that's just a whole awkward conversation where ceremony photos, there's gonna be like you'll see her every once in a while in the photos, maybe a few group photos. But aside from that, it's not necessarily the end of the world. And once again, she gets to be in the fun part of the wedding, which is the party.
Yeah.
So like I don't think, like, once again, it's not a jab or anything. I don't think it was disrespectful. I think he read it way into it. But here's the last thing that he said. Anyway, the point of this edit isn't to try and convince people that I'm in the right. You're not in the right. I can see quite clearly that I've overreacted and that things could have been resolved in a different way, but I just wanted to give a bit more context into our friendship, because it's not a case of my friend is getting married to a woman I've barely met. I class her as a friend and have made every effort to make her feel included from day dot. What? Thanks for the
From
honest.
day one, maybe.
Probably. It's probably a British thing. Thanks for the honest comments. Yeah, this dude's clearly the asshole. And then also, if this was such a big deal to you, why didn't you just confront the bride then?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying like, I mean, if she's your friend, but no. And then once again, she's not invited. She's still going to the wedding. So yeah, I think this dude's completely over. And then also 6 months relationship. That's kind of a stretch. That is a stretch. If it works out, awesome. I hope that it works out for that guy. But like, yeah, that's kind of like, yeah, maybe it's not. It's like that weird mix of like, yeah, it's getting serious, but like at the end, like, who knows? Kind of still, Especially, I think, depending on the age too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how old this guy, but if his friends are getting married, I'm assuming then maybe late 20s, mid to late 20s, maybe going into the 30s.
Maybe.
So I mean, I think when you're older, like, I mean, like maybe like you and me right now in our age, right? Like the fact that we're in our 30s now, like I think now, like if you're dating someone and like let's say I'm getting married and you're seeing somebody it's like 6 months now, and obviously now we're in that stage where we're like we know what we want, and like clearly I'm not here to waste my time, and clearly this person is someone that I'm like being serious with. 6 months is actually kind of like, I feel like the older you are, the faster you can probably get through relationships because like now you kind of know better, or at least you hope you know better. So I think like maybe it'd be different for that case where I'll be like, yeah, no, she can come to the to the ceremony and all that, because obviously like it's getting serious with you two, especially if she meets the boys. So that would be the obviously like, yeah, she's coming to the wedding,
Yeah.
So whereas if like I was in my 20s and you're dating this girl for 6 months, I would probably tell her like, hey, bro, she's invited. She's just going to the reception.
Yeah.
I'm out of seats for the ceremony.
Right.
And Edward's like, I'm surprised you even invited her.
You're right. I'd be like, okay, that's cool.
So yeah, so I mean,
Of course, if she gets upset, I'm gonna be like, well, I mean, I'll be like, you're still invited to the reception.
Yeah. Also, I think that
and then she'll be, and if she's like, do something about it, or blah 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 blah, and I'll be like, all right, let me ask Hector, and then I'll go talk to Hector and be like, Hector, kind of like you, I'm talking to you about the wedding. I'm gonna raise my arms.
I feel like that becomes a red flag, right?
I'll be like, I'm pretending that I'm gonna yell at you, and then you're gonna be like, why? I was like, this is the reason why, and I'm gonna yell stuff, random stuff. I'll be like, gar 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 gar, invitation, gar 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 gar. She didn't get invited. Gar 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 gar. Gar, 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 gar.
I wonder if you're in your 20s, does that become like a red flag where she's like offended that you're only talking about months here and she doesn't get invited to the ceremony? Does that become like a red flag to you?
I'm gonna have to ask a question to somebody and be like, do you find this offensive if you don't get invited to a wedding?
This is actually like a really good like conversation. I'm not saying like ask like on your first date and this become the icebreaker in any way, but I think amongst friends this would be like a funny like conversation.
Let me ask you this: like, it'd be horrible to bring that person if you've only been talking, and then that's technically like the first date. That would be pretty.
Oh, if it's like, if we're talking about like y'all haven't even, like you're still at the stage where you guys aren't even telling yourselves about how you guys really are. Like, I mean, that's like, to me, like, yeah, that person's definitely not getting invited.
Yep, pretty much.
So no, yeah, yeah, no, the guy was definitely an asshole. So yeah, that was our reading from Reddit. Also, if you guys ever want to send me something, Edward, if you ever find something stupid on Reddit, obviously by all means. I actually did kind of like it. I don't know about you. Obviously, we'll find out how everybody feels about it, but I actually kind of liked it. Right. Yeah. So maybe we'll do this like something to rotate with like 3 up, 3 down, and like the 5-a-side drafts. Just something else that we do like for a closing segment. But all right, man. So that is the episode 149. We got to give a shout out to the Belly Up Podcast Network. Check out their website, BellyUpSports.com. Follow them on Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter, at BellyUp Media and at BellyUpSports. GolzTV, man. Thank you, Jose Tellez, once again for coming on and talking MLS playoffs with us. Go ahead and check out Golz.tv, man. Subscription right now is free, so go ahead and check it out, man. I guarantee you there's going to be something for you, especially if you're looking for soccer content. And follow them on Instagram at Golz.tv, GOLZ.tv. And on the X, formerly known as Twitter, at Golz_TV, GOLZ_TV, to get your content on all the things going on at GolzTV. They're doing some coverage also for the USL playoffs. So also shout out to them. Man, speaking of USL playoffs, man, that was heartbreak for the San Diego Loyal. They get eliminated in the first round, and that's it. If you guys don't know, the San Diego Loyal, unfortunately, is no longer going to be of existence in the USL. Is there a correlation with San Diego FC? Probably. But yeah, unfortunately, that club will no longer be existing anymore. If you guys don't know, that's also the team. I believe Landon Donovan, I don't know if he managed it, or I know he managed it at one point. I don't know if he had what else connection he has to that club, but yeah. So heartbreaking. San Diego Loyal, amazing logo, amazing brand, amazing fan base. Unfortunately, they will not be existing anymore in the USL. So RIP to the San Diego Loyal. But yeah, check out GolzTV. And also, of course, shout out to Roosevelt Spencer, man. If you guys like the intro and outros for our episodes, if you guys are wondering how the hell our voices don't sound as bad on our singing bets, well, it's because of Roosevelt Spencer, man. We love him so much, man. We appreciate him so much that we have named the Roosevelt Spencer's Player of the Year award after this man. And so we always try to give him as much love and appreciation. He's definitely been becoming a big soccer fan because of me and Edward. We've helped step up his jersey game in soccer as well. So we always show Spencer as much appreciation as whenever we can. And we thank him so much for all his hard work. So follow him on Instagram at That Guy Dope. Once again, at That Guy Dope. Make sure you guys hit him up and message him if you guys need some beats, whether you're a singer, a YouTuber, or you're trying to start a podcast. Spencer will take very great care of you like he always does with us. So thank you to Spencer. So with all that being said, man, thank you so much for listening to episode 149. Catch us next week for episode 150. Do I know what we're going to talk about yet? No, but I'm sure it'll be fun when we figure it out.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
Who is that guy?